I need you to get vaccinated when it's your turn and when you can find an opportunity. And to help your family, your friends, your neighbors get vaccinated as well. Because here's the point. If we do all this, if we do our part, if we do this together, by July the 4th, there's a good chance you, your families and friends will be able to get together in your backyard or in your neighborhood and have a cookout or a barbecue and celebrate Independence Day. That doesn't mean large events with lots of people together, but it does mean small groups will be able to get together. I need you to get vaccinated.
Open your eyes to a new world. Which never knew existed.
All right, America. Good morning. Happy birthday, America. 250 glorious years. What a day. And to celebrate, we've got the one and only Cam Cooksey live in studio this morning. Cam, brother, how you doing?
I am fantastic, man. I was saying before the show, who would have thunk
Bring that mic closer, homie.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? America 250. We were 14 years into the after the bicentennial when I was born. 36 years later. Did the math just to get it right. 36 years later, man. This great nation is still going strong. I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
That is, dude, I'm excited, man. I was watching this morning on Fox News, like while I was prepping. They had the little red banner. They're burying a capsule right now, a time capsule with something from all 50 states, two things from all 50 states. And they're going to open it up in 2276 at the 500-year birthday. So let's I'm putting you on the spot here. You didn't know we were going to talk about that. Okay. I'm putting you on the spot here. What are like maybe the top 3 or 5 things from right now, contemporary things in America that you would put in your time capsule?
Fuck, dude.
I'll go first. We'll go back and forth. I would put an iPhone with a charger.
Yeah.
With a charger.
iPhone with a charger. This is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's actually important. Maybe like something along the lines of like Russiagate documents. Like a warning, like maybe something from COVID, like documents though.
Maybe a clip of Joe Biden saying what we opened, what we cold introed with.
Yeah, just reminder that tyranny can still exist 250 years from now, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I would probably put. I saw the size of the capsule. It's not very big, so we're talking like kind of handheld size things. Maybe I would definitely put something in there to symbolize how popular President Trump actually was.
Maybe like a golden seal. No.
Here, you got to bring that mic closer. It's directional. Yeah. There you go.
Maybe like a gold bar, like a Trump gold bar.
No, I don't know if I would want it to be something like perhaps like I don't know that electronics will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
250 years underground. That's a long time. So perhaps, I don't know, maybe like some photographs.
Yeah.
Like a collage of some of the MAGA rallies.
I like that.
Maybe if you do put an iPhone in there, you have it loaded down with some of the rallies, the boat parades and the truck rallies where they had, in Arizona when he totally lost Arizona by 10,000 votes, a 90-mile convoy of Trump supporters that, were driving all over the state. Yeah, that's totally. But Joe Biden won it from his basement, guys. What else? Maybe you know what I think I would put in there? I would put a modern firearm in there, like a Glock or something like that.
I think that's a good idea. Would you put like Trump's 2017 inauguration speech?
Yeah.
I like that.
Wow. Wow,
'Cause
good call.
Ash got me on that one. Shout out to Ash. But man, that I had a show. I think it was some show earlier this year. But I played the entire speech and then came back obviously to talk about it. But I was just like, this has to live in infamy.
Yeah.
Great speech.
I think the only speech that could rival that, and I don't think it was better than his inauguration speech, would be the Riyadh speech. And I've talked about that one many times. I think the Riyadh speech was the most significant foreign policy speech we've heard from a president in our lifetimes for sure, and maybe in the modern era of American history.
Yeah.
So that one, maybe put those two speeches in there. What else would I put in there?
Would you want to put some insanity from the left? Or not the left, but the Uniparty.
Ooh, that's a good one, like a pride flag or something.
Yeah.
And
or if you, I mean, obviously you said technology might not last, but like the clips of them calling for violence.
yeah,
That was something that I mean, I was already on the Trump train, but that's one that shook me because I was just like, how can you see this and root for it?
Yeah,
Unless you have evil in your heart.
Dude, I don't. It's crazy to think this, but I have no clue where we're going to be in 250 years.
Oh, no chance. No chance in guessing.
I mean, there's like absolutely no possible way. Like, just think about 250 years ago from where we're at now, right?
Muskets, right?
Muskets, single-loaded muskets firing a round ball that was very inaccurate. Now we are precision shooters that, good shooters can hit a mile plus. The record shot is 2.5 miles, I think, or 2 3/4 of a mile. Yeah, I mean, and here we are, these guys, like the whites of their eyes, remember?
Dude, DEWs.
Yeah, direct energy weapons, nukes,
Supersonic,
allegedly.
not supersonic, the sound ones, the discombobulated.
Like the Havana syndrome type stuff.
Yeah, like warfare is completely different now.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, fighter jets, right? Going into space.
Yes.
Cell phones. I mean, 250 years ago, if you wanted to get a message, you better have a fast horse.
Yeah.
You better have a really fast horse and somebody that can ride through the night. And now it's like we just click a button and boom, we're there. So, I mean, when you just look back 250 years and the breakthroughs that we've had in this millennium. Are we going with millennial or millennium? We had this discussion at GART.
Let's do millennium because not y'all, but people love to talk shit about millennials, and rightfully so. So
we are pretty heinous. I'm right on the cusp. I'm on the cusp of millennial versus what was the one before millennials? Gen
X, right?
X, yeah. Gen X. I'm like right on the cusp of Gen X, and millennials. I'm on the cusp of Sagittarius, Scorpius. I'm a fence sitter. Me and John Drake, because we have the same exact birthday. We're fence sitters. So there we go. So here we are. We were talking about, they're burying the capsule, 250 years. I have no idea what we put in there, but I'm sure there's a list and we can see that. Yeah. I'm low key jealous that I'm not going to be around to see them open it.
Hey man, although you never know.
Well, I mean, Jared Kushner did say that this is either going to be the last generation, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation to die.
Damn.
Those are his words.
Yeah.
First generation to live forever, or the last generation. I don't know that I'd want to live forever.
I don't want to live forever. I at least want the option to die.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It'd be pretty cool if I could, also it's determinative whether or not I would stay the same age.
Right.
And at the age I am now, I would probably choose, let's extend it out 50 years, 100 years, and see where we're at. And then eventually you get bored. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Tuck Everlasting, but it's kind of it's an old movie from the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's, they find the fountain of youth, and this family has been drinking from it forever, and they have to hide themselves because everybody wonders how they never get older, right? And one of them falls in love with this girl, and they have the romance, and throughout the summer and the winter and the love and everything else, and then eventually he's like, hey, I want you to stay with us forever. And he takes her to the fountain, and he's like, if you drink from this, you'll never get old. And then you have the moral conundrum that she's in, the moral dilemma of, do I want to live forever? Do I want to, because I'm going to lose my family? The age that she was at, she was a older teenager, probably 17, 18 years old. And, at that point, are you physically mature enough to have a family and all that stuff? And then what do you do then? Does everybody just turn up to be like 18 years old and then they drink? Or do you just watch your kids get older than you and die? And lots of stuff like that. So kind of an interesting concept. If you could live forever, would you want to do it? And if you had an option to check out, like you were like, okay, we're gonna end it here. So God won't let you get bored. Casper Sparks says, wait, what? When you go to glory, you live forever. God won't let you get bored. That's a great point. Yep. That's a great point. All right, let's get into the show. We started out with that cold intro of Joe Biden telling us that if you get vaccinated, maybe you can have a barbecue. Maybe you can have some friends and family over. I don't know about you, Cam. We rocked it throughout COVID. We had huge 4th of July parties. You've seen our 4th of July party. It's a pretty big deal. And it was good enough that it got Cam and Jackie to come down again for the second back-to-back 4th of July party that they're going to attend at Casa de Lupo.
We couldn't miss the 250th, man.
Yeah.
We were talking about staying at home. That's actually why I was on OnlyLands last night, because I had scheduled to be in town. And then Jackie and I were just like, we're going out of town again in like a week. And I was just like, we just can't miss it, man. Not for 250. That's going to be the show.
Yeah, by the way, your rent for the studio is due tomorrow.
All right, I'll get that to you. I'll get that to you on Wednesday.
CannCon was in the studio yesterday.
Oh, remember to change your name back later.
I got to remember to do that. Otherwise, I'll be like when I'm Christy after Alphas on Tuesday, when I forget to change it back. All right, so let's some pretty cool scenes from around the country, but this is the one that has caught my eye thus far. And thought this was really cool. Fox News has this clip here of a drone show in Texas. This could potentially, in the next, maybe 5 years, begin to replace fireworks. And we will talk about how we feel about that. But check this out.
July 4th celebrations. This video is footage from North Richland Hills, which is a suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth, where 2,500 drones filled the sky. Just look at that. The drone show included iconic American images like Uncle Sam.
That's
and
badass
a giant
right there.
red, white, and blue
That's
eagle
badass.
with pyrotechnics.
That is so freaking sick.
Attached to the drones, which gave them some extra flair. I have never seen anything quite like that before that we see on.
All right, so we got that one there, and then we've also got this one. I have to mute the music because we're on YouTube and it's copyrighted. It's Born in the USA, which I'm not upset about muting that. But this is the same show, but color's a little bit enhanced. The lighting is a little enhanced, and it's sped up. So check this out. It sucks not having the music. Born in the USA. Born in the USA. Born. You ever seen Canadian Bacon when they're driving in the car in Canada? John Candy, and they're like, da 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 da, because they don't know the words. They're like da da da. Born in the USA. That's the only words they know.
Yeah, that's me half the time with songs.
Look at that. That's fucking badass,
Dude.
dude.
So cool, man.
That is so cool.
And were you saying this is a little sped up?
Yeah, it is sped up. It's like 1.5 speed. Now that one's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that one's interesting. What do we do? Because that looks like Chinese on the left there, maybe.
Well, what I think it is, it's old school.
Could be.
Old NASA versus new.
Could be.
I'm wondering, has that ever happened? Where
No.
there's people still on the moon from one of them where they got left?
Only on the dark side of the moon, my friend. Only on the dark side of the moon.
Outside.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, I could see there coming a day when fireworks are replaced with drones.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it. Like part of me is like, the whole point in fireworks is the glorious history of our revolution, the bombs bursting in air, that kind of stuff, even though that was 1812. I think that was the War of 1812. Francis Scott Key wrote it from a prison ship off the coast as he was watching it. I think that was the War of 1812. Somebody in the chat correct me if I'm wrong. But that's symbolic. The fireworks are symbolic. Maybe supplementing it at first and weaning people off of it. But see, green ozone, the percussion booms cannot be replaced. I agree. However, I'm not going to lie. I would not mind not coming home on the 4th of July and having my dogs like freaking the F out.
Yeah. Well, maybe in a time of peace, maybe when we get to where we're not constantly bombing each other and shooting each other and killing each other, maybe that's when the not digital age takes over, but we've got drones going off instead of, well, I guess drones are weapons too. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want the fireworks to go away. I'd like to see them together.
Aola says you can see fireworks from all directions. Drone shows only from one angle. I thought you can see that. Yeah, I know you can see them, but it's only two sides. You can't see them from three because obviously it's going to be like a straight line. So that's a good point. That is a fair point. But again, we don't even know where this is going to go. I mean, at some point, we're going to have like Project Bluebeam type shit, and you'll be able to like actually watch like real battle scenes up in the sky. Like real battle scenes. I'm not talking like drones. I'm talking like real fight scenes.
Yeah, like they'll have a reenactment of a World War II, like I forgot what they're called. The plane fights.
Dog fights. Dog fights.
Yeah.
And I never understood why they called aircraft wars dog fights.
It makes no sense. They don't touch each other. Like dogs rough.
Dogs are fighting on the ground, and they got four legs. They don't fly. They don't shoot. Like maybe air fights. Yes, 1812. So I am correct there. And Texas drones also had fireworks. So best of both. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Spotzel. You can supplement it. Good to see you,
Spotzel, by the way. Haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had White Chrome.
Spotzel lurks. He lurks.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got Cam here to do a little analysis because while we're celebrating the 4th, we've also got Team USA rocking right now. So check out this from their victory on, what was it, Wednesday? Thursday. Yeah, this was their victory on Thursday against Bosnia and Herzegovina.
We beat two countries, guys.
I know that was the funniest stuff. Like I've seen out there, like people are posting, and obviously it's a joke, but they're posting, oh, Team USA is so good they had to get two countries to try and beat us, and they still lost. And they were essentially on a power play for 35 minutes. Yep. Check this out. This was the Balogun goal. Whoop. Doom.
Just so you guys know, it's way harder than you think. And it's way faster. So that's one thing I've noticed, one, playing, but two, watching the game in person. Jackie and I went to the South Africa Czechia match in Atlanta, and obviously those teams are a little bit lower tier than the U.S. And Bosnia. But man, the players move so fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like it's like watching hockey live versus watching on TV.
Facts.
It's nuts, man.
Facts. So here you've got what is his first name?
So this is Malik Tillman. But tell him about the boots.
So Malik Tillman, right before this free kick, he goes over, and Woody have a little blood on his boots.
Yeah, he had blood on, and in soccer, you're not supposed to have blood on your uniform. Like obviously, every once in a while, there's a little bit, but if they can see it, if the ref can see it, they make you change your boots, your shorts, your jersey, whatever it is.
Yeah. And so he runs over to the equipment manager and he's like, "Hey, I need new boots." And so he grabs him a new pair of cleats. We'll call them cleats. We're in America. We'll call them cleats. Grabs a new pair of cleats. They only gave him one cleat, the kicking foot, but then he rears back and puts this in.
So sweet.
Yeah, and that was such a huge goal right there.
Yeah. Against the power play.
That's the key. We were down a man, so it was 10 versus 11 on the pitch. And because Balogun got a red card. We'll go over that here in a second because that's going to hurt us on Monday. Big time.
Yeah.
But, once we were down a man, the momentum completely shifted. And it's not as noticeable in in soccer as it is in hockey, right? Because there's double the amount of players, and it's a much larger pitch. There's a lot more ground to cover, but it's still significant. And Bosnia definitely went momentum shift in their direction, and they had a lot more pressure on us at that point. And so getting that kind of cushion, the insurance goal there was massive.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about it, I totally agree with Brian on all that. Hockey, you can tell when it's a power play. I mean, that's why they put it on the screen. Power play, you count it down. In soccer, this is from personal experience, guys. 10 versus 11, at first you're fine. The problem is, and it's just like hockey, you can't get out of your own end because you don't have that extra outlet. And it's not because he was the striker and he got out, because, you know, they moved Christian Pulisic up top, made it like a 4-4-1, basically, whatever you want to call it, or even a 3-5-1. But the thing is, just having one less player on a field that big, like if you're a Bosnian player, you can just play. You already have the goalkeeper as an outlet going back. You also have another defender as an outlet going back.
So you're playing way up.
Dude, you can basically, if you have one guy sitting back on defense, you can basically push your whole team up, because as long as you have that one guy, the goalkeeper, and then someone tracking back, you're almost never going to get scored on in the run of play. You'll see it every once in a while, but that's why the free kick was so big, because what we did is we got an outlet, got up, held up the ball. They fouled us on front, on top of the box like idiots, and then free kicks are not as easy as you think. So that was a huge goal.
Massive moment. So this is the play here in controversy. Balogun getting, and let me move myself over here a little bit. Balogun getting the red card. The red card straight to red. You know, now Balogun is out for the Belgium matchup on Monday, and that's a big blow. I mean, that's our number one goal scorer right there. That's he is the most important player on the pitch for Team USA.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I say he's not, I think that he is in a way, because goals win you games in soccer. Weston McKennie is the biggest player on our pitch because he does all the work.
Okay.
That guy, he's played, I think, everything but like, up until he got subbed off a little bit at the end of the game, but he played like everything but like 3 minutes in the first 3 games of the match. And the way that our team plays now, because Mauricio Pochettino, the manager, he's Argentinian, but he's been adopted as an American for his job here. And this man, I was watching the thing before the match. He comes from, like, I think his dad was a farmer in Argentina, like low level farmer, not like a corporate farmer, whatever. And he comes from a small town in Argentina. He has the American dream like built into him. He's just from Argentina. So the way our team plays is the typical hardworking American style, but with some flair, man. Like we have an identity now, is what I would say. And so losing one player, like when we lost Christian Pulisic, I thought Christian Pulisic was going to be our biggest player this tournament. He came in kind of injured. He sat out a couple matches. The next person stepped up. We finally have probably 14 players that are not world class, but are good enough to compete with world class athletes. And most teams don't have that. Like Belgium does not have that. They have like 4 or 5 guys.
So even without Balogun, you still got US?
Oh, definitely. So I'm not worried about it at all. I think we're still the favorite even without Balogun.
Nice. So the tournament is shaping up the way it should be, except for Spain. Or excuse me, not Spain. Germany. Yeah. Excuse me. Argentina moved on. Yeah. In penalties, free kicks, penalties against who'd they play?
It wasn't penalties, was it? It was right at the end.
I thought they went to penalties.
You guys watched it last night. It was the game you watched.
No, they went to penalties. Argentina made all of them, and
I thought it said 3-2. Somebody scored right at the end.
Oh, I thought it was penalties. Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, because we were on date night when that was going on. Yeah. Portugal moves on. Unfortunately, I don't think that.
I don't want to go through that one.
Yeah, I don't think that was a right call there. Croatia scored in like the 102nd minute.
VAR, get your shit together.
Yeah, the VAR they complete. See the Cape Verde. That's who it was. Yeah. They took away the goal against. For Croatia. They took away the Croatian goal, and I just did not see enough there to make such a monumental call.
Yeah.
Because that was monumental. And we're talking about if the ball did touch the Croatian player, we're talking about it brushed his hair.
Yeah, just his hair, man.
His hair. And I just... You know, I heard you guys on OnlyLens last night talking about the new sensor in the ball. There's no way that ball picked up a hair. There's no way.
The thing is, even if it did, like, my thing is, fix these rules, man. Like, if it doesn't change the trajectory of the ball, who cares? Like, I don't care when I was playing, if a ball hit somebody on the other team and I hit a volley and it goes in, or a header, I don't care whether it touched him or not, because it didn't change the trajectory of the ball. If it deflects and then I have to change direction, I'm like, man, what a reaction by me, because it changed directions.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the game, it touching the guy's hair, just because it's in the rule. It should be like our laws. Like I think Alpha was talking about it one time. It's like the spirit of the law versus the law itself. Like, the spirit of the law is not it touched the guy's hair, therefore it's offside. No. The spirit of the law is you got an advantage by being offside because your guy flicked it on.
Right. I'm with you on that. Also, I mean, that's just way too late in the game. So I've been a proponent for a long time, probably since South Africa in 2010, of putting another ref on the pitch, maybe even two more, even two more. You know, have one ref that controls the midfield, and then one ref that, you know, each third of the pitch is controlled by a different ref, and so they're not focused. Like, they catch more off ball stuff, right? You'll see a lot more off ball stuff. I don't know.
I'll real quick. I think the only thing that I wouldn't want them on the field, like directly in the middle. I'm cool with the one ref being in the middle. What they could have is 4 linesmen. You could have one. You know how they have them on opposite sides, like this. You could have one on the other side too.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on for that. But real quick, Liberty Line says, I don't want to be talking about balls touching and ball hair on Independence Day. Funny enough, when we were driving to the airport from Deadwood, Ash and Caleb gave me and Christy a ride to the airport, and Ash had probably one of the funnier comments I've heard from her, and she says, I never realized how much golf was about men looking for their balls.
Yep.
I thought that was a fantastic comment right there. And of course I had to add that, the game is all about men stroking their balls to get it in the hole.
Exactly.
And golf
We're just warming up for you ladies.
Show's going to shit. All right, let's jump into this story here. We'll go to this instead of covering each. Well, we are going to cover each case, but instead of going to each article about the case, New York Times has just an overview. We're not going to rely on the New York Times opinions on any of this, because the New York Times can F off. But major Supreme Court decisions in 2026. The session has come to an end. Last Tuesday, I believe, was the last day. June 30th, I want to say, was the last day of this session of the Supreme Court. And we got some great rulings. We got some good rulings. And we got some bad rulings. We also got some bad rulings that were very fair rulings. And we'll unpack all that here. So they have, New York Times has the major cases listed here. And the Fed board firing, that was... So let's jump down first to the regulator firing. So that's the Slaughter case, overturns 90 years of precedent dating back to 1935, when the Supreme Court ruled that the executive, the president, does not have the authority to fire a congressionally created but executive-run independent agency, quote-unquote independent agency. By the way, there can be, I cannot stress this enough. There can be no such thing as an independent agency in our government. You have to have oversight of an elected official somewhere. Otherwise, we are not a constitutional republic. You cannot have bureaucrats, unelected bureaucrats, dictating to the American people what they can and cannot do. That is not the authority that we gave our government, and I don't care if our government turns around and says, well, you gave us this authority, we're going to pass it on down to these bureaucrats. No, we did not give you that authority. So I thought that was a fantastic decision, the Slaughter one, that the president can essentially fire without cause. And that's the way it should be. Then you turn around and you look at the Fed board firing with Lisa Cook. Now, the Federal Reserve, created by Congress, but a totally independent agency. Okay, I get it. Their ruling there was that Lisa Cook, one of the governors on the Federal Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve, the Board of Governors for the Federal Reserve, not the Federal Board of Governors, cannot be fired as there's an investigation right now ongoing, legal proceedings and litigation, and an investigation into mortgage fraud. And Trump fired her. The court has said, no, you cannot fire her. If you jump over here, President Trump has said, not that one, this one here. The Cook lawsuit having to do with her suitability and sitting on the board of the Federal Reserve was sent back to the Supreme Court on a strictly procedural basis. We will take appropriate action immediately to make sure that someone who has committed wrongdoing will not be making vital decisions concerning the welfare of the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And again, I think that is the correct decision. The Federal Reserve Board should absolutely, if President Trump, if the president, not just President Trump, can appoint them, then he should be able to fire them as well.
Yeah, I don't understand. In what I know it's it's part of the government, but in what business can you hire someone and not fire them with cause? Obviously,
yeah, only in the federal government.
Stupid.
And then there's another case that is not in the Supreme Court. This was at the appeals court. But we'll jump into this one here real quick, and then we'll get back to SCOTUS decisions. And this is along the lines of firing as well. Appeals court sides with intelligence officers fired for working on DEI. A federal appeals court, in a 2-1 decision, upheld a lower court ruling blocking the Trump admin from firing 19 career intelligence officers who had been assigned to roles dealing with DEIA. They've now added the A. We're going to start expanding on that. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals found the Trump admin erred in firing the officers without any chance to appeal the decision to seek reassignment to a new role. Quote, the agencies have never suggested that any of the intelligence officers engaged in workplace misconduct or that the terminations were motivated by performance concerns. Rather, the director of the CIA stated affirmatively that the decision to terminate the intelligence officers were taken to, quote, effectuate the directives in DEI executive order signed by President Trump. So this was the CIA director enforcing the wishes of the president. Okay, now that's very important here. The appeals court found the hiring process, quote, creates an entitlement to the rights of consideration for reassignment and internal appeal of a termination decision, end quote, and that the CIA and ODNI needed to provide due process. Now, I think the dissent here is the right take. In a dissent, Judge Paul Niemeyer argued that, quote, the district courts and the majority holdings, I conclude, fail with double Fs. The unfettered discretion that Congress gave the directors to terminate the employment of agency employees precludes the employees from having any entitlement to their employment and therefore precludes a finding that they had a property interest protected by the Fifth Amendment, Niemeyer wrote in that decision. I always do that. At least once a show, I'm going to do that, guys. And that's the right take right there. If we are going to have the bureaucratic agencies, which I don't think we should have, and Congress has given the president and the directors of those said agencies discretionary power to fire, you have no rights to employment. The federal government is not a right-to-work entity, and it never should be. It never should be treated as that. The CIA is one of the most politicized organizations within the bureaucracy. I mean, they're all politicized, but that's one of the worst, and not in the way that you would think, left versus right and all that. It is purely, as Colonel Towner has often called it on our shows, the Praetorian Guard of the globalists. Yep. It does not work for the American people. I mean, it does. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, every single thing the CIA does is bad. I'm not going to say that. But the stuff that they do on the down low, the shady shit that they do, that has the most negative impact on the American people. And so giving the president, giving the director the discretionary power to go in there and essentially revamp the entire organization is paramount to an organization that has gone wildly off its rails.
I think the intentions of I think we all know this, the intentions of the CIA were to be the Praetorian Guard for the globalists. Yes, they've been able to do a few things along the way to help the American people, but if you don't check that, man, we won't have a country. We won't have 500 years. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Hopeful Theorist says Slaughter was about an executive branch agency. Correct, but they're still considered independent. These agencies are considered independent agencies. They are under the executive, and that's the point I was making, is that you can't have an agency that is created by the government, managed by the government, but is quote unquote independent. That's the only point I'm making there. And, on that same line, if it was created by the government and it has any sort of regulatory authority over the American people, then it's inherently not independent. No. It inherently needs to have, discretion at one of the higher offices, one of the higher branches of constitutional government, the judicial, the legislative, or the executive. And of course, it falls in the executive. That's the whole point of executive.
We should have control over every aspect of our government in some way. We should at least be able to, maybe it's one step, two steps, but something that we have impacted should be able to control what every single part of this government does. There shouldn't be a single part of the government where the American people can't, in essence, vote on it. If voting, obviously. Agreed.
Naturally, Nikki says, no, they work for the corporations. That's what the globalists are. The globalists are corporations. Yeah. And I'm using, when we say the term globalist, we're talking about broadly. Yeah. The world banks, the global banks, the central banks, which essentially are, again, the corporations. You can throw BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. You can throw all of those entities in there as well. Hopeful theorists, we are in agreement. Okay, just making sure, because when you said the executive, it kind of makes it sound like you're saying that it was, I don't know. All the cabinets are technically executive. Like the president can fire the Secretary of State whenever he wants. He can fire the Secretary of War whenever he wants. But you get into the FTC Commission, the SEC, the FEC, you get into all those and everybody freaks out. And that's because, those are not supposed to be quote unquote political appointees, I guess. Let's see. We got the tariffs decision. That's an older one. We've talked about that one quite a bit. Birthright citizenship was a huge one. That was a huge one. This is the one. So there were two major decisions that, we as quote unquote MAGA are against. And that was the birthright citizen and the Watson decision, the mail-in ballots. I think they got Watson right. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. Everybody wants mail-in balloting gone. No mail-in ballots past Election Day. But they got that one right on the legalese of the decision. The birthright citizenship, I think they got wildly wrong. And that's all there is to it. I think that one is absolutely wrong. President Trump was congratulating Xi on the victory. I would like to congratulate President Xi and the great country of China on their massive birthright citizenship win, President Donald J. Trump. And then I don't know if you caught daily on, it was either Thursday, I think it was Thursday with Alpha, where we were talking about Chinese breeding programs.
I did not hear that one.
Oh, yeah. So China has programs. Alpha was talking about, it's essentially like birther tourism. Where you come over here, you have babies, and then you have them born here and, go back. What I brought up was something, I think it was Red State. It might have been the Federalist. I think it was the Federalist, actually, that broke this story that, there's millionaires and billionaires in China that take frozen sperm, send it over to the United States, and then pay surrogate mothers $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, whatever it is, to have their children. And so you have these Chinese billionaires and millionaires that are impregnating Americans without ever meeting them, having children, having their kids either stay in America or bringing them back to China, but having American citizenship. There was one guy that has 100 children. One guy has 100 children that are American citizens that are, half Chinese. And so that's, kind of the thing that we that has to be shut down.
That's some Epstein stuff, man. That's exactly what he was trying to do with Zorro Ranch, I think it was. Yeah. That's some Genghis Khan stuff.
Yeah. Epstein was a little sicker. He was into eugenics and all that stuff.
But still, though, it's trying to overpopulate the world with your sperm so that you have control over the world.
Like Elon Musk.
But I think Elon, for the most part, was kind of doing it the old-fashioned way. And you can't knock,
knock a man for that. He's probably doing it the old-fashioned way. He's just That what was the most recent one? Ashley, I'm not going to say her name.
Yeah.
I don't want to get sued over something, even though, whatever. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about there. Let's play this clip here of Stephen Miller on Jesse Waters talking about it.
Fluent in the heart of the American Republic. Look, Jesse, I can step tomorrow onto the deck of a 747. It does not mean that I am the pilot of that plane and I'm qualified to fly it. Just physically being on U.S. soil does not make you a citizen or qualified to carry on or capable of executing the inheritance of this country. We have people from all over the world, from third world nations that on their own would have never invented the wheel, let alone modern technology, let alone medicine, let alone air travel. And they can just come into the country, have a baby at a hospital, paid for by you and me, and then that baby's automatically a citizen. That baby can sit on a jury when he turns 18 and sit in judgment of you, and sit in judgment of me, and sit in judgment of our loved ones, can decide who our mayors are, our governors are, our presidents are. Citizenship means nothing if it is open to everyone. The idea that you can have a cruise ship filled with foreigners and they just dock at a port for an hour and someone has a baby, Jesse, the baby's an American citizen. They can vote in every election for the rest of their lives. They can be living in a foreign country and cashing welfare checks from American citizens. Look, I know that some of the justices who worked on this, they think that they're so intelligent. There is no possible reading of the 14th Amendment that applies to foreigners with foreign loyalties, foreign citizenship, foreign obligations, foreign everything. And here's another point.
All right, so he nails it right there.
I mean, that's the perfect way to invade an entire nation, is to just do that.
Exactly.
One day we'll have a president that we won't have this, guys. We're not going to let it happen. But one day, in theory, you could have a president who is 100% brought in, born here, just to destroy this country. And I would say Obama, but I don't think he was even born here. But
yeah, I don't think Obama was born here. Vivek, ran for president. Yep. Two Indian parents. Mm-hmm. He ran for president. Now, do I think Vivek is an infiltrator? He could be. I don't think he is. I've read a couple of his books, and I think he's appreciative of the country. But who knows?
Yeah, that concept is what's important. Is you could just have someone. The entire plan could be to destroy the country.
Yep. And
right now, the way that it's being handled and legally, you could do it.
Well, I mean, even then, we've got a congresswoman. What's that congresswoman from Guatemala that's like, I'm a Guatemalan first and an American second? And she's a congresswoman.
Yeah.
She said this publicly.
Yeah.
She said this on television. I'm a Guatemalan first and then an American.
She just said her constituents are second to her home country.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Canadian born down there in Texas, Ted Cruz, saying, if you don't stand with Israel, I don't stand with you. Said that to his constituents in Texas.
2 loyalties ahead of the U.S. Ahead of Texas, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's loyal to Canada, but
well, my thing is, like, Canada, I mean, if you really think about it, Canada is controlled by the crown. Who helped establish Israel, the crown. It's all coming from the globalists.
Canada right now is controlled by a globalist banker with thrice citizenship.
Yeah.
Triple citizenship.
And that could happen to us, guys, if we don't get this stuff fixed, worked out, fixed.
Mark Carney has citizenship in Canada, England, and I believe Ireland is the third one. Yeah, I believe. Right. Triple citizen. I would pass a law in America that you cannot have dual citizenship. Yeah. You cannot be in 2 places at one time.
Yeah.
You cannot have allegiance and loyalty to 2 places. And when they have conflicting interests, trust on them as Americans that they're going to choose America. You can't do that.
That's a threat to national security.
It absolutely is a threat to national security. And you should not have anybody with dual citizenship in any place of any sort of legislative authority. They should not be permitted in the military. They should not be permitted in any form of government. They should not be permitted to be teachers. You cannot have, and again, you can call it prejudice, racist, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a flying bleep. You are an American, And if America is not where your loyalties are laying 100%, you have no. I got no use for you.
Yeah, get a green card. Come hang out.
I got no use. Right. Get a green card. Come hang out for a little bit and go home.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Yeah, that one gets my blood boiling, man. And I'm one of those people that I always grew up America first. Like whether it was in the black community, in my family, whatever. Had military family, multiple Marines in my family, 5 Marines in my family. It was always America first, and it was never America is perfect, America is right about everything, but it was always America first. Nobody had allegiances to other countries. And then when I got older and I found out these people are like, oh, I'm doing my birthright. There's a birthright trip to Israel that every Jewish person can make. And I think it's the Israeli government, which is really getting paid from us. They pay for that trip. I had so many friends in high school that did that trip. And in my head, I'm just like, I mean, I don't know what country in Africa my family's from, but I ain't going back to Africa on a birthright trip. Like, I was born here. What do you mean birthright? Your birthright is to
where you were born.
Your birthright is to be a citizen of this country.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'm Italian. I would love to go to Italy.
Course.
I would love to go to Italy
with the visa, with the
no, just a passport.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. Like you would go.
I ain't trying to live there, homie.
No, but still though, if you were gonna go live there, you're not gonna go get Italian citizenship unless you denounce your American citizenship. You obviously wouldn't do that. But my thing is, how are you gonna do both? How are you gonna say this is my birthright to go back to? For them, it's back to the Holy Land. Okay, I get that. You go on the trip. But you're going back there to basically pledge your allegiance to that country and then come back over here and do your work over here. That's my personal opinion. And it's things that people have basically said. So
what happens? I mean, and again, I'm Italian. Say I have Italian dual citizenship, and I don't. But if I did, what happens if we go to war with Italy?
Exactly.
I mean, as it sits right now, I'm an American. If we go to war with Italy, win that war.
Yep.
Whatever you got to do to win that war, win that war. And if it kills a whole bunch of Italians, then, I mean, it sucks. I hate war generally. Well, I hate war because of what it does. War itself is a drug, man. Yeah. But generally, I hate war and what it causes and the results and everything else. But yeah, that's a great point, man. Let me just play this, or not play. Let me just show you this clip here. Geiger Capital put this out on X. The author of the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment, Senator Jacob Howard, literally explained during the debates that would obviously not apply to illegal aliens or foreigners not allegiant to the United States. It was for the children of former slaves. And from the debates, it says, quote, this will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of persons. And so the framers of the 14th Amendment, by the way, one of the worst amendments in our history. One of the worst amendments in our history. The framers of the 14th Amendment said that it is not meant for illegal aliens. It is not meant for somebody to cross the imaginary line down at the southern border, put the foot on the other side, plop out a baby, and then say this baby has every right to every single right that you have as an American citizen, including the quote unquote general welfare.
Yeah, it was literally, from my understanding, it was literally a way to transition from people being property to people being citizens in this country.
Bingo. All right, so let's see. So the mail-in ballots one, the Watson versus RNC, that is one that, again, I know a lot of people were upset about that one. The Supreme Court got that one right. And it's unfortunate. The Supreme Court, ultimately, they ruled that Congress has not given an explicit deadline for mail-in ballots to be returned by, and because they haven't done that, it's at the discretion of the states. So Article 1, Section 4 leaves the time, place, and manner of choosing up to the states. However, there is the electors clause in there that Congress can from time to time make a rule specifically pertaining to federal elections. And so Congress can come in and say, hey, we're going to pass a law that your president, House, and Senate elections, all ballots have to be in by the first Tuesday after the second Monday. The first Tuesday after the second Monday, which is in the Constitution. And if they pass that law, then that only applies to federal races. They can't apply that law to state and local races in the states. The reason that you see states conform with the federal law is because they want the money. It's a pain in the ass for them to run elections. It costs a lot of money, and so they're like, we'll just go along with the federal law. We'll adopt that as our law. There is no specific date that they have to return the mail-in ballots by, so therefore it's up to the states as per the Constitution. Again, am I opposed to it? Yeah, I'm absolutely opposed to it. But the federal government cannot make that ruling, and so again, while it's wildly unpopular, I think they got this one right.
Yeah, the ends justify the means is never the right way to go, because that always ends up getting us screwed in the end.
Yes, that always ends up poorly for you, because, again, that's something that will just come back to bite you in the ass at some other point later on. On that note, I do want to focus on this here. So I've said this has been kind of my theme here for a little while now. I think President Trump is pivoting on the Save America Act. And I agree with Chris and some of the others at Badlands when they said Trump was intentionally trying to torpedo the Save America Act, subvert it, right? He was covertly subverting the Save America Act, and he was doing that by adding on transgender for everyone, mutilization of our children for transgender, and men and women's sports. Well, men and women's sports is overturned. That was the West Virginia case. There were two cases. That's overturned. So, thank God for women's sports. Congratulations, women. Huge victory. Trump took that out of his speech, but he didn't take out the mutilization, and that has not been dealt with at the Supreme Court yet. It's common sense to me that you should not be mutilating children's genitals before they even know that Santa's not real.
Or before they've even developed. I know that sounds crazy to say, because you'd think maybe do it before, just because you don't want them to grow all the way up. No, they should be able to grow, develop, know what they have, and then they can make that decision as adults.
Absolutely. I mean, at the age that you're at, kids are icky. I don't. Boys are icky, right? Yeah. Girls are icky. I don't want to kiss a girl. And then you go through these changes, right? And your body starts to change. No, I'm just kidding, giving you the puberty talk. But you go through puberty, and then all of a sudden it's like, that girl's kind of cute, or that boy's kind of cute, and you develop from there. I mean, we're literally mutilating the genitals of kids who, if you gave them the choice, would eat ice cream for every meal.
Exactly.
What do you want for dinner? Ice cream. Okay, well, you get what you want. We don't do that. Parents don't do that, right? Nobody does that.
No.
So what do you want to be when you grow up? A girl. Okay, let's go cut off your junk. What?
Wee.
So but the whole point of that, Trump is getting away from that, and I want to play this clip here, and this doubles down on it.
But the SAVE Act is even more important, and that's the right. You have to be a citizen of our country. Okay, you have to show you're a citizen of our country, called citizenship. Voter ID by photo voter ID, and no mail-in ballots unless you're in the military, disabled, you're ill, or you're away, or even on a vacation. We're being very open about it. It's pretty easy. And we'll have honest elections. But the ruling, which a lot of people were waiting for, that was a ruling that was, I think it was very detrimental to honest elections. But it is what it is. Basically, they're keeping it a little bit the way it is now. They may have a little bit of a restriction on based on the wording.
About firing the parliamentarian.
So he's not mad about it, right? We've seen Trump react to some of these Supreme Court decisions, and if it goes his way, they're great. If it doesn't go his way, they're like, this court is corrupt. This court is, But there, he's just like, it is what it is. It's really interesting. I don't know. So here's Trump. Here's Trump tripling down.
But even Rand Paul is in favor of the Save America Act, if you can believe it. Think of it. Rand Paul is strongly in favor. He's fighting for it. So that's good news. But you would have Lisa Murkowski, always against things like this. Nobody knows why. I think I know why. But you have Lisa Murkowski, you have Susan Collins, you have Tillis is against, and he's not in office because of me, so he holds me, because I wouldn't endorse him. I think you have Senator Cassidy against it too.
I think he supports it this time.
And I think you have Mitch McConnell against it too. Mitch McConnell,
Are there any
who's very disloyal to John Thune. You know, John Thune was a very good person for him. I mean, he was a very loyal person, and Mitch McConnell's against him almost all the time because he's angry, I guess, probably at me.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
What about Democrats, Mr. President? Are there any you could think you could change their
Well, the
minds?
Democrats should do it too. I mean, you'll probably get one Democrat who's, you know, a common sense Democrat, you know, who that is.
Fetterman.
And everybody should vote for this. This is the Save America Act. Voter ID with photo, ideally, but voter ID, proof of citizenship, and no mail-in ballots, which is, to my way of thinking, maybe the most important of all because it's so corrupt. But you have exceptions if you're away, exceptions for the military, they're deployed, exception, illness, disability, you have exceptions, strong exceptions. But the cheating on the ballots, the mail-in ballots, Jimmy Carter said it a long time ago. He said you can't have mail-in ballots. He headed up a committee with Scoop Jackson and others, all respected. And he actually, I think it was Jimmy Carter's finest moment, not doing president.
So again, that's him tripling down now without mentioning the transgender issues.
Oh.
And he's calling on Democrats. And again, when this was all, you know, the rhetoric that was going out there before the Supreme Court decision, he was always mentioning transgender for everyone. He always made it a point to highlight those things. And we knew at that point that these were really the popular things for the Democrats, right? These were the base things that we always heard about Democrats. I don't think that actual Democrats, like local, like down at the personal level, I don't think that that's a necessarily popular platform for them, but they make it a platform.
Right.
And the whole Democrat Party is almost entirely smoke and mirrors. The whole thing's fake. You know, they bolster their numbers, everything else, or boost their numbers. And so now that Supreme Court decision is done, it's like we've got this now like whole new thing where I love it, man. Like, we're no longer talking about the transgender thing on the Save America Act. I think he wants it passed now.
He did bring it up last night.
Did he say?
Yeah, when we were on Only Lands, he went through his speech. It was a short speech. He did. It was like 26 minutes. Someone said, but near the end, he was like, "And pass the Save America Act."
But did he say the transgender stuff on the end of it?
No, I don't think he did.
Okay.
No. But I'm just saying, like, when you said that, I think he wants it now. That's why I was when you started off this segment, I was like, why did he bring it up last night if he didn't want it? And then when you ended with what you just said, I was like, that makes a lot more sense now.
Okay.
He used to not want it.
Because, I mean, he even truthed out on Truth Social here. Number 1, all voters must show photo identification. Number 2, all voters must show proof of citizenship. Number 3, no mail-in ballots except for illness. Wait, where's number 4? No mutilization of kids. Number 5, no transgender sports. Where did those go? They just disappeared. And again, I think it's a new leaf in attempting to pass the Save America Act. Now, I don't know the strategy behind it or anything along those lines, but here we go. We'll see. Let's see. What are some of the other ones? Racial gerrymandering. That's the Calais decision. That was a huge one. Campaign finance. Now, that's one that Ash and I talked about on Daily on Wednesday and also on Why We Vote on Tuesday briefly. And that was so are you familiar with that decision, NRSC?
No.
Okay, so NRSC versus FECA, Federal Electoral Commission Act, I think it's called. Because of Citizens United, I think in 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that a corporation is a person in terms of free speech rights, First Amendment rights. And so they said that the Supreme Court said that a corporation can make donations to political campaigns, PACs, and super PACs.
All right.
And the latter, they can make unlimited donations.
Okay.
So I think they're still restricted as a corporation. I think they're still restricted to the limits that we have. Like, we can only make $3,500 donations to a candidate before we're capped out. But we can give all the money we want to a PAC. The problem with that decision right there is you've now made corporations' voices louder than the people.
Yeah.
At the individual
Corporations
level.
have more money than individuals.
Correct. And not only that, a corporation is an entity that is made up of several people.
That's true, yeah.
Or more. And the idea that every single person inside of a corporation has the same political ideology, and as a representative of that corporation, they, are in line with everything that corporation believes in is absurd.
Right.
You've now created, so we went from, think of it this way, Cam. We were just talking about the 14th Amendment and slavery. We went from, there are people that exist that are less than white people.
Yeah.
And that, and black people, saying they're 3/5
right.
of a person. We've gone from that extreme, which obviously I disagree with, to now you can create a person out of thin air through paper.
Oh, sounds like our Federal Reserve System with money.
Sounds like a way to pump a lot of money into politics.
Yep.
Sounds like a way that a corporation can go out there and spend buku bucks lobbying for a position from a candidate that is detrimental. Like, say you have Amazon, right? Amazon, major corporation. They want to build right outside my window, right here. They want to build an 11-story building right outside my window. Right now, it's an open preserve. It's a nice suburbs. We got the Everglades right over there. Literally, stone throw away is the Everglades. Vast nothingness. They want to build an 11-story building right there. We have one 5 miles as the crow flies from here, an Amazon distribution center. They want to build another one right there. We're like, no, first off, that's beyond, you're only allowed to build, I think it's like up to a 4-story building in our city. Like, that's our ceiling. They want to double, triple that almost. Amazon can put millions and millions and millions of dollars into our economy, into our politics, into our city council members, into our mayor, everything else, into the PACs, not them directly, but into their PACs that are lobbying on their behalf, that are campaigning on their behalf, spending money on their behalf. They can do that, and we can't. Because we are individuals, sovereign individuals. It's absurd to me. That's Citizens United. NRSC versus FEC takes that a step further and now says not only can corporations do that, political parties can now do that. And political parties can now act directly with the candidate. Now, to be completely fair here and completely honest, I'm more in favor of political parties doing it than I am corporations. Because I think political parties are, at least in theory, they're beholden to the people in theory, right? If you don't like the Republican Party, you just get rid of the Republican Party on your name, like I did. Although I'm still a Republican technically, I don't donate to them. I don't have any money going to them. So what this is doing now, and this could be a good thing and a bad thing, is it's opening up the opportunity for a third party to emerge if they have a big enough donor. If Elon Musk decides he wants to start the America First Party, he can now do that. And he can pump in, he's the first trillionaire. He can pump in $250 million, and no party will be able to compete with him in terms of finances. And so what if it's not just him? What if Peter Thiel gets involved? What if, Neville Singham over in China? What if he decides he wants to start one? I think this is a really bad decision. I think this is progressive instead of regressive. I told Ash I'm fiercely regressive.
Yeah. I love what you said at Guard about the titles, like liberal, progressive, whatever. No, regressive. Let's bring it back. Let's take it back to the original intentions, or at least as far back as we can right now. Less power, not more power.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. All right, so, and I think that might be the conversion therapy, transgender athletes we covered, guns on private land. That was a big decision. That was a big decision because that's going to overturn a lot of gun laws. So what a lot of these blue states did is they made it a law that you have to ask permission from a business owner before you bring a gun into their place of business. And therefore, it made it almost impossible to conceal carry in businesses in a lot of these blue states. They've now overturned that. You have the right to carry into the business. Now, like in Florida, in our state, signs don't carry the weight of the law. So if you see a sign that says no firearms permitted, it doesn't matter. You don't have to listen to it. Like even at a private business, the only way that they can enforce that is if they see the gun and then they ask you to leave. At that point, you have to leave. If you don't leave, you'll be armed trespassing.
Oh, okay.
But up until that point, they can't enforce. That sign has no bearing on the law.
I love that. I did not know that about Florida. That's awesome.
Yes. There's a lot of states that do that. I'm not going to
probably one. I'll look it up. But
I'm not going to speak outside of Florida, but I know for sure Florida is that way. So that's kind of what they did with this one. So now a lot of these states, California is one of them, they're going to have to either figure out a way to change their laws or I don't know. They're going to have to figure something out.
Yeah, they probably will.
I just found a receipt in here for an AR folding stock adapter.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Christy bought me like 3 of those for Christmas one year, and I was like so excited. And then I saw reviews, and they're like, "Don't put this on your rifles." And I was like, "Shit, damn it!" So I have a couple. I'm not going to say how many ARs, so I'll put it on one of them. Just have it.
Put on your least favorite.
There you go. What else we got? Gun possession, asylum policy. Gun possession was a big one. That was the cannabis one. That you're allowed to be a cannabis user and own guns. That was a big one.
That's 9-0. It says
9-0.
It better be.
Imagine a Supreme Court decision that's 9-0 on guns
and weed. No, I'm just kidding.
and weed.
Dude, what? 250th birthday, man. There's something to celebrate right there. Just that alone, like, oh man, 15 years ago, no chance.
That's a great point, man. Like you can't find liberals and conservatives.
Yeah.
And so what do? You sprinkle in a little bit of both there.
Yeah.
You're like let's throw some weed at the conservatives, let's throw some guns at the liberals, and let's see how they come about this. This could go one of two ways. It could go 0-9 or it could go 9-0. And the fact that it went 9-0 is a testament to not just the Bruin decision, but the Second Amendment as a whole.
Yeah.
And shall not be infringed. And that was a big decision right there, man.
That's huge, man.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I had no idea about that one.
Yeah, I like that decision. Okay, so I think that is about it for the major decisions. What they determined were the major decisions. Right. This was a decision that I thought was pretty major that did not make the list for New York Times. Let me slide this over just a little bit. From the SCOTUS blog, court rules that law enforcement's use of geofence was a search. Okay, and I'm gonna read from you guys because it took away my highlights, so I'm gonna read from you guys the ChatGPT summary. Supreme Court held in a 6-3 decision that law enforcement's use of a geofence warrant, okay, that is using your cell phone to determine where you were at a particular time, a warrant requiring a company like Google to identify devices located within a specified geographical area during a specified time is a Fourth Amendment search. This is a significant victory for digital privacy because it recognizes that people have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their historical location data, even when it's stored by a third party like Google. The case arose from the prosecution of Okello Chatri, who was identified after police obtained Google location history data for everyone near the scene of a 2019 bank robbery. Google initially provided anonymized device IDs, and investigators progressively narrowed the list until they identified Chatri. Justice Kagan, writing for the majority, rejected the government's argument that users lose... My dog just hit my light. That users lose privacy protection simply because they have shared location data with Google. The court emphasized that modern cell phone users cannot realistically avoid generating location data as part of ordinary life, and that Google's possession of the information does not eliminate constitutional protections. I would use this and apply it, and I got a little bit more to read, but when you hear me saying like Google, think of the banks, Chase Manhattan and Bank of America. When you hear me saying geofence data, think of checking accounts, savings accounts, expenditures. because I think this is going to have some pretty broad strokes here. However, the court did not decide whether the particular geofence warrant in Chatri's case was constitutional. Instead, it sent the case back to the lower courts to determine whether the warrant satisfied the Fourth Amendment requirements, such as probable cause and particularity, and whether the evidence should nevertheless be admitted under the good faith exception. The decision is important because it establishes that geofence warrants implicate the Fourth Amendment by constituting a search. It extends the court's recent trend of adapting privacy law to digital technologies and location data. And it leaves unresolved the broader question of when geofence warrant is sufficiently narrow and supported by probable cause to be unconstitutional, ensuring that future litigation will define the practical limits of the investigative technique.
Did you mean to say unconstitutional? Because it says constitutional.
Or, excuse me, to be probable cause to be constitutional. Yeah. Excuse me. So again, this is just saying that just because Google collects your data, the FBI, any law enforcement agency cannot go to Google and be like, "Hey, this is public information." No, it's not. It's Google's private data. You have to have a warrant to get that from Google. Now, is Google going to comply with this? I think they will. I remember iPhone when Apple was refusing to unlock a phone. Yeah. Remember DOJ, I think it was the FBI, was like, unlock this phone. It's a matter of national security. And Alpha's like, fuck off. Yeah. Apple would have been like, fuck off too. But Apple was like, fuck off. Yeah. I mean, this was used against the J6ers. Yep. This was used to round up J6ers. And I think, Chattree is the case here, but I think that the biggest implication is for J6ers because they didn't take that with particularity. They didn't say, hey, Brian, we believe that you did damage to the Capitol building. We need Google. We're getting a warrant to show that you were inside the Capitol at this time. No, they took all the Capitol building and said, here's all the people that were there. Yep. Now let's go investigate them. You can't do that.
No, not at all.
You can't do that. And that is why this decision is being very quiet. Like nobody's talking about this decision. The only people that I've heard talk about this decision was me and Zach Payne on Tuesday's Badlands Daily. Yep. Big decision. All right, let's pause here and let's go ahead and hear from a sponsor. And let's see, what are we doing here? Yeah, let's talk about our friends over at Emerald Med. I love Emerald Med. I want to take 60 seconds, just 60 seconds of your time to shout out a brand that supported creators here on Rumble for a while. It's called Emerald Med. They make CBD products from hemp, but there's things that you may not know. Instead of using one crop, they actually use 3 different hemp strains because no one strain contains every compound that they wanted. So they combined hot and cold processed extracts since some hemp compounds are activated by heat while others are damaged by it. On top of that, they use raw extracts to preserve minor compounds, trace minerals, and micronutrients that are typically lost. Their CBD oil alone has 6 to 9 raw batches blended into it. Instead of just 1 to 10 compounds, they have up to 50 or more. A lot of brands talk about freedom and wave the flag only when it's trendy. Emerald Med was using their company to fight for people's medical freedom from COVID while getting bank accounts shut down and tires slashed for the same thing. They put money every year into fighting laws that limit access to health alternatives, and they often say they want to make products so effective that Helen Keller can see the difference. Nothing is a cure-all, but it's worth a try. Maybe they can help you feel 30%, 60%, maybe even 80% better. Maybe it's enough to help support you sleeping well. Maybe it gives you a few hours a day of not feeling awful. Maybe it's enough to be able to do things like you used to do. They're celebrating America's 250th, and you can click the link below or scan the QR code right now and try them at a discount today. Check them out. Love the folks over at Emerald Med and a lot of their products, man. Elohetrium, some of their CBD stuff. Great stuff.
You gotta check them out, man.
Yeah, Emerald Med. Check them out. And so staying on the courts here for just a moment, Colorado court rejects November ballot initiatives aimed at redrawing congressional districts. That was kind of a technicality there. They were trying to change the districts from 4 to 4. Colorado's divided 4 to 4, believe it or not. They were trying to redistrict it so that it would be 7-1 in favor of Democrats. And the Colorado Supreme Court shockingly said, no, you cannot do this.
You think it was because it was too obvious?
I think it was because they did the same thing Virginia did.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia didn't rule on this, but Colorado did. In Colorado, the law is that you can only propose single item policy. Like, I don't know if it was an amendment. I don't want to, initiatives, ballot initiatives have to be single item. And they represented this as a 2-item thing. Like, if this happens, then this happens. And they're not allowed to do that. And Supreme Court shot it down and said you can try back later. So they won't have it for 2026.
Awesome.
Yes, that was a good win. FBI assigns scores of analysts to examine election records in Georgia. So staying on elections, Aswavana, here for another moment. It says here, federal FBI is assigning 260 investigators to analyze analysts to a priority investigation related to the 2020 election in Fulton County. Outlined in an internal memo received by the New York Times and confirmed by a person familiar with the investigation. The memo says that the surge is part of a quote-unquote priority effort by Kash Patel. Analysts will work to complete, quote, approximately 708 records checks, and the type of records checked are unknown. So we've been waiting on word from this for a while. Fulton County's been kind of lull. We haven't heard much from Fulton County. I don't know what's going on there. I've been trying to get some source on this. Can't get this confirmed. The memo, the expediting of this investigation, but it would make sense. It would make sense. I thought we were going to see a DNI report by the end of the week. I was wrong on that. I was hoping. I wanted it by the 4th. Maybe the DNI put it out this morning, and we didn't see it. But you are going to see, I think you are going to see some massive exposure to the general public, not to folks like you guys that have been watching me and Ash and Badlands and my podcasts and, the band, right? Got to mention, hat tip to the band, Bahizzi, Neil Johnson, all those guys, Marcus, Nick. We've outlined the evidence for years now. You're going to get it put into the public mainstream in a way that is irrefutable, undeniable. And from that point, you either pass the Save America Act or the demand for it is so much so that you just completely delegitimize Congress, even in the public mainstream eye.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, man. It's so funny living in Georgia. I live in Cobb County, so right over across. I think we actually touched borders with Fulton County in some area. But
you do. I'm pretty sure you do.
But I learned this stuff from you guys in 2020. Like I'm right down the road. Knew the government was corrupt in Atlanta because Fulton County is one of the Atlanta counties. Atlanta is Fulton, DeKalb, and I don't think it has Cobb. I think there's one other county. But anyway, those counties, man, I knew they've been corrupt for a long time. But after hearing you guys from 2020 till now, it's the same way that Atlanta is a hub for air travel. Atlanta is a hub for road travel in the South. It is a hub for corruption in the entire country. It is there's a reason why Sherman burned from Savannah to Atlanta. Atlanta has been a hub for a while, and to see this coming out in Fulton County, man, I'm so grateful that you guys have done all the work. Not just you, but everyone you just mentioned. I'm so grateful you guys did the work because that city, I grew up around it, man. It's such a beautiful city. 96 had the Olympics there, but it honestly has gone. It's getting better now, but it had gone to shit, man. Like, I hate to say that word, but it's gone to shit.
Yeah.
And so it needs to be fully exposed.
Yeah, and here's the problem that I'm going to run into with this. And, I was having a discussion on X with somebody, Ash, there was an election in Colorado. They just had their primaries on Tuesday. And, a lot of people are automatically coming out and like it's kind of became the rally call for the election integrity crew that they're like, oh, this election was rigged, every single election. And, to be fair, the guy made a point. Like, you can't, well, he made a point. I don't agree with what he's saying. He says you can't call every election rigged without actual evidence. And there is no evidence yet yet that any election in Colorado was rigged. However, this is the point that I made. We have proven fake elections in so many places. Like, I'm not talking like we're just saying fake elections, look at what happened. I'm talking like legit evidence. Georgia, right? Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Like legitimate evidence that it was wrong. Arizona. I think I said Arizona. When you're able to prove that elections are fake in a few particular areas, and then you're able to mirror the same contextual and circumstantial evidence in other areas, we don't have the resources, we don't have the availability, we don't have the money, the financial resources, the physical resources to investigate every single election. And so when we do delegitimize the Fulton County election, which I think is going to happen, I think it's inevitable. The people in the democracy, pageantry of democracy, the Mark Elias's of the world, the Stephen Richards of the world, they're going to turn around and say, well, they're going to move the goalpost now. Again, they're going to go from what the New York Times was just preaching there. We didn't get into this part. There's no evidence of election. Trump has made this case in courts and blah, 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 and all these other places, and there's no evidence of it. No, you're just choosing to close your eyes to it and turn a blind eye to it. They're going to say, well, this happened in Georgia. It has nothing to do with Arizona. Has nothing to do with Michigan. Has nothing to do with Colorado in this case. You're right, but at the same time, look how long it took us to get Fulton County. 6 years. You're telling me we have to go through thousands of elections and spend years and years and years, millions and millions of dollars? No, fuck off. Once we delegitimize the election in one particular area, and we can show you the same thing happening everywhere else, the system has to fundamentally change.
Yeah. The problem here is access, man. You can't get access to anything for a decade almost, and then that's how they keep the fraud going.
Correct. I mean, Garland Favorito, technically, they have all the stuff in Fulton County now. His case is still pending. His case has been pending since 2022. All the way up to the Georgia Supreme Court, all the way back down, still pending. And so that's the problem is, we can go out there and cry election fraud and all that stuff. And maybe the term election fraud, this election was rigged. Maybe that's not the best term. And maybe we need to rebrand a little bit here into you can't verify that election was authentic. You can't verify and shift the burden of proof from we the people to our government agencies. And you're not going to do that with just a risk limiting audit. You're not going to do that with, oh, you guys can watch the counts and all that. I don't give a shit about watching counts. I don't care about poll watchers and poll watchers and poll observers sitting there watching people open mail-in ballots. I don't care about that. I care about NGOs that are going out there and registering every single person using fake names, fake addresses to register people. Then they're receiving those ballots and casting those ballots. A poll watcher is going to look at that and think it's completely and totally legitimate. But in reality, it's not. Yeah. Case in point, let's play this clip here. And it's very interesting that James O'Keefe is dropping this now, right? He's the one that got the woman arrested out in California before the Spencer Pratt election. But now following the Spencer Pratt election, he's doubling down and he's expanding on the work that they did. And I think they had this work before Pratt's election back in June, early June. And it's just now coming out after the SCOTUS ruling.
On the license plate of the vehicle that this fraudster was operating out of, and it returned the name Anthony Zach Spears. And upon reviewing some of our earlier footage from back in March, we were able to find petition fraudster Anthony Zach Spears has been out of Skid Row buying petition signatures for months, maybe years. The journalist also interacted with workers from the NGOs operating in the area, and they all confirmed they have seen the fraudulent petitioners all over.
I'm trying to help him. Do you know where the petitioner people, they give out cash, you know where they are?
Yeah, across the street, they be back there, they do something on every corner. Over here.
Oh.
Yeah, go with San Pedro. That's where they do. That's where they are.
That's where they are right now?
Yes, they are.
Petitions and stuff?
Oh, they have them over here somewhere. I don't know where. I've seen them. You have to hear them around, but they should be around.
The people signing petitions to get cash.
Yeah.
Do you know where they went?
Really was over here for sure, but now I haven't seen them
today, but they've been around.
Yeah, they've been around.
I've seen them down here before, but I don't know where they at though.
What corner they're in today, you don't know?
No, because I did it before.
You did it, right? You did it?
Yeah, the petitions, I did that before.
If you work for one of these NGOs operating on Skid Row and you notice any kind of financial malfeasance or any evidence of the NGO's involvement in this cash for ballot scheme, or if you yourself live in Los Angeles and want to visit Skid Row and record what's happening, please reach out to us. You can email us at tips@o'keefemediagroup.com or call us on Signal at...
All right, so we can pause that there, but again, I think it's interesting that as the mail-in ballot case failed at SCOTUS about mail-in ballots after Election Day, and Trump is kind of pivoting on the Save America Act, you get James O'Keefe now doubling down on the registrations out there in Skid Row, because the narrative shifted on that. Cam, they arrested the woman, Barbara Brendan Brown or something like that. They arrested her. And then it was kind of like, oh, look, we got him. We got him. It was only one woman doing this. You got him. Look, we're doing our job. And O'Keefe is like, oh, F that. It's not just one woman. It's hundreds of people that are doing this.
Yeah, and it's not just in California. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's everywhere.
Exactly.
There's probably some in Atlanta. There was a guy a long time ago, or not a long time ago, maybe earlier this year, that kid that was going out and seeing people getting registered at churches and empty lots and stuff like that. And I was just thinking, like, last time I was in Atlanta, there weren't as many homeless people, but there's still a lot. I'm just thinking, is it because they're catching on and they're moving to different places? Because it hasn't been really exposed. So I don't know.
Bingo. Just the news had an art. Well, hold on. I don't want to move on just yet from that. And I the only reason for that is I want to. There's one more really important thing to highlight on this, and that is that you're not seeing, like, this isn't. So these NGOs. And the reason I played the clip, that clip goes on. That's a 7-minute video. We only played about a minute and a half of it, 2 minutes. The NGO aspect of that, those NGOs are all around that area, right? There's quite a few of them. Yeah. They know what's going on. They're aware of what's taking place. Are they aware that, is it plausible deniability that they don't know that these people are out there registering fake people? And by fake people, I don't mean the people themselves are fake, but the people that are signing the petitions, signing the registration forms are not the people that are being registered. And so, Cam, if you're a homeless guy, right?
Yeah.
You're a homeless guy living on Skid Row, and you're down and out, and you need $10 to be able to go buy a value meal so you can eat or get a fix, whatever the case might be. You go to one person, you're like, hey, how much are you giving out for the ballots? $3. Okay, let me fill one out. Okay, today, Cam, you are not Cam Cooksey, you are Tim Brown.
Okay.
I need you to fill this registration form out for Tim Brown. Here's the address you're going to put down, and just sign whatever you want, because signatures don't matter. And then, boom, Tim Brown is now registered. Well, where's that address that Tim Brown, the ballot's going to? Could be a homeless shelter. Could be anywhere. And so now that same person, that same homeless person, Cam Cooksey, who just got his $3 there, he's like, shit, this doesn't buy me enough. I'll go over to this guy.
Yep.
Hey, who are you today? You are Colleen Smith. Okay, I'll be Colleen Smith today. You fill a ballot out, registration, address, all that stuff. Goes to wherever they want the ballot to go. It's going to automatically get mailed there because California does automatic mail-in balloting. And so you're now introducing, potentially, I mean, they're doing this all the time. You can see in that video, everybody knows this is going on. There are thousands of people down on Skid Row that are doing this several times a day in order to eat, in order to get their fix, whatever the case might be. You are creating hundreds of thousands of mail-in ballots that are going to homeless shelters, addresses that don't exist, deemed undeliverable. You get somebody working in the post office on the inside. Hey, I'll slip you $500 if you take all these undeliverable ballots. Put them off in the side of your truck, and at the end of the day, just drop them here. It happens.
Yeah.
This is a $1 trillion economy we're talking about control of. When what's her name? Who's the woman that beat Pratt in the Kamara? No,
I don't remember her name.
Nitya Chamar, whatever her name is. She gave a grant for $600,000 to homeless encampments, to the homeless system, right? If they want to keep that money flowing, you have to keep Nitya, whatever her name is, or Karen Bass. You have to keep one of them in office if you want that money to keep flowing. So when you're receiving millions of dollars in grants, what is it to take $100,000 and throw it at these homeless people? Throw it at these ballot signature people, throw it at an NGO, who then throws it at the ballot petition gatherer, who then throws it at her network of petition gatherers. And so as you go up the chain, the homeless person's getting $2. The person that's getting the signatures may be getting $10 a signature. The person that hired them to go out and gather the signatures is getting $50 a signature. Okay, so now you're at like $70 per signature that you're paying to go out there and get this. Then from there, it goes out to, the homeless shelters or the NGOs themselves, which they just got a $10 million contract. So let me just do the math off the top of my head. If you have $10 million and you go out there and you're like, I'll spend $250,000 to get you elected to keep that breadbasket running. $250,000 divided by, let's say, $85 a signature, that's 3,000 signatures.
Jeez.
That's 3,000 signatures from one NGO on just $250,000.
That'll swing an election.
That will swing a local election.
Yeah.
And that will keep that money flowing for them. Now duplicate that all throughout California. That's one situation. And that's $250,000 is on the low end of what these NGOs get. These NGOs are getting millions of dollars. And if you want to keep that flowing, you have to reinvest. You have to tickle the palm of the system that got the money for you.
Oh, man.
This is why the Save America Act can change things. Getting rid of mail-in balloting. All of those homeless people will now have to show up and vote in person and show an ID. Guess what? Cam Cooksey is not Colleen Smith. He's not Tim Brown. He's not going to be able to vote for that.
Nope. I'll get one vote at that point. And and the other thing is, they're not going to show up to vote because they don't care about it. They're there for the money. And it's a bit, what I was thinking the whole time you were talking was they've created it's like a sub economy, like a subset of the economy just from that. Like that is profession for these homeless people. It is their job. Their job is to go get signatures. So if you want to get enough money, like you said, for your fix, for your food, whatever, they're going to start being incentivized to do more and more, to travel to different parts of I bet you there are homeless people that whether they take a bus or whatever, or even walk, they'll go to different districts and do the same thing because they're like, I can make a living as a homeless person off of this scheme. It's a profession. Like they could probably tell their other homeless buddies like, yo, I got this new job that I've got. It's not just a quick fix for them. It's a daily routine for these guys.
Yep. And this is how the system works. This is how they're, and by the way, I inflated those numbers. $85 is a lot per signature. You can get it $2 for the homeless person, $5 for the collector, $10 for the NGO. The NGO doesn't care.
Yeah.
That they don't care how much they're getting. I mean, it is essentially, you could turn that $250,000. You could probably turn that $250,000 legitimately, probably into about 30 or 40,000 signatures.
Yeah.
If you're being, and you're not, as the NGO, you're not trying to make money off of this. You're just trying to keep your cash cow, fed.
Yeah.
It's really fucked up, man. It's really fucked up. Somebody should clip that explanation there so that everybody can understand how that system works. Somebody should clip that. Liberty Line, clip that. Please. I got to be polite here. Okay, let's move on before we do so. Actually, we'll hit this story real quick. From Just the News, Nation's report card shows further decline in literacy, according to GOP Rep. Owens, saying the system is failing the students. Maybe because, I'm just throwing this out there, the federal government should not be in our education system.
Get them out of it.
At all.
Get them out of it.
At all. So student achievement is on the decline nationwide, particularly the ability to read, write, and comprehend text. Black and Hispanic students consistently have lower test scores compared to their white and Asian counterparts, while their graduation rates and grade point averages or GPAs continue to climb. Experts say the disparity might be explained by so-called equitable grading practices, in which report cards of historically disadvantaged students appear inflated. According to a Fordham Institute survey, roughly half of teachers have adopted at least one equitable grading practice. At roughly the same time that the data was collected for the report card, Black and Hispanic graduation rates are increasing nationwide by 10 and 14% from Black and Hispanic, 10% Black, 14% Hispanic, from 2011 through 2022. Quote, "We are not witnessing a miracle. Instead, we're witnessing social promotion," Rep. Owen said of the inflated numbers. The National Assessment of Educational Progress shows overall that 40% of fourth graders and 33% of 8th and 12th graders are performing at the lowest possible level, below basic proficiency in reading. Atlanta and Chicago, where roughly 80% of public schools are Black and Hispanic, are among the worst with the worst report. 15% of Chicago public schools, high school students can read proficiently. 15%. Yet the district reports a 75.8% graduation rate. In Atlanta, 27% meet the proficiency. 90% of students graduated on time in 2025.
I don't have enough time to go through how I feel about that, but I'll give you the simple one is all of this is happening so that they can keep the money in the schools. They're bumping these kids up so that the schools don't get shut down, so the teachers get paid, so the human farming of just getting workers out into the system and getting good little soldiers for their future DEI plans or propagandizement. They're also dumbing them down on purpose. That's the big thing is these are the foot soldiers of, and we'll go all the way back to the globalists, the corporations. These are the foot soldiers. They're the worker bees. They're the ones that go in and do the minimal jobs. I'm not making fun of it or anything, but the janitorial jobs, the custodial jobs, they're the ones that are going to end up being out there as Antifa members because they can't get jobs. They're going to be the ones out there doing the stuff on Skid Row because they're going to get addicted to drugs or something like that. They're literally the worker bees for this machine, and they're trying to keep them dumb.
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing it so the system that they've devised is sinister.
It is. It's evil, man.
And they take these kids and they give them equitable grading. They give them, you're Black. Your A is not 90 to 100% is an A. No. For you, it's 80% to 100 is an A. A B, we'll take that all the way down to 60%. And I'm making these numbers up off the top of my head.
You're probably right.
But it's got to be pretty close. Yeah. You can't have a 75.8% graduation rate with a 15% literacy rate. Yeah. You can't have that.
No, it's impossible.
You can't have that. I mean,
it's 85% of kids can't read proficiently. That's insane.
I would take it a step further, Cam, and this is a sensitive issue because you're dealing with minors, right? You're dealing with, I don't want to say children because when you're in high school, I think you're past a child, but you're a minor still, right? And you're protected.
Right.
So you can't send in these undercover cameras and all this stuff to see what's actually going on with this. Maybe you could, but I would be willing to bet, Cam, that half these kids aren't even attending the school. They're playing hooky.
Yep.
They're out there with their unfortunately, just friends, but some with gangbanger friends, selling drugs, trying to whatever. And then they graduate and they're like, oh, look, I got my diploma. Okay, to the streets.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, well, what's even crazier is that might be true, but it also might be where those kids aren't even counted in the number, which means that we have a whole other set of kids that aren't even close to they're not even at the under proficiency. They're not even recorded. Like you have a generation of kids that are in the gangs. There's a generation of kids that are like half gang, half school. Then you got a generation of kids that are in school. And from the in school and the half in school and half out of school, we only have 15% of those kids that can read proficiently.
Take it a step further here. And what's the thing that they've done? So you can have that GPA, right? If you have a 4.0 GPA and you can't read.
Oh shit.
there,
I think I know where you're going with this.
There's a good chance that you can get into college.
Yep.
There's a good chance that you can get into college.
Minority scholarships. There are probably kids going to Harvard that probably read at like a 11th grade level.
Yes.
And obviously that's good, but not for Harvard. But these are the same people that are going to Harvard. Then probably they might even, dude, these people might be going to like Harvard Law.
Yeah.
And just being like, just bumped along the way.
So they've taken away standardized testing. So there used to be like checks and balances in the school system. Like you could give a kid inflated grades, but it's going to come out on the SATs.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to go, you have a 4.0, but you only have a 9. What was it that Gavin Newsom said? I have a 930 on my SATs. Yeah. By the way, that's in line with what we're seeing with all of this. Yeah. That is trying to normalize that. Like, oh, Gavin Newsom's governor with a 930 SATs. Well, I've got a 930 on my SATs, which is not good.
Yeah. And you know he didn't have that, by the way.
I doubt it. Yeah. I doubt it. But he's got a 930 on his SATs, but he had a 4.2 GPA. So look, he could do it. I can do it. And so they go to college and they have no idea what to do in their college classes, and they're getting their asses kicked.
Oh, yeah.
They can't do math. They can't do reading. They can't do the fundamental things that you're supposed to be able to do when you go to college. Yeah. That's a burden on the college system. It ends up blowing through college money. They're getting federal loans and grants. So now they're indebted. They were sold a lie that college is the way they have to go. They did not do the work in high school that they were supposed to do. They thought they were because the grades reflected it. Yeah. Then they go to college and they're like, this is too hard. I'm done with college. And then they're like, oh, well, you're done with college. But by the way, you used about $40,000 of your college loans. You got to pay those back.
Yep.
And the interest rate is going to keep you in debt to the United States government for the rest of your life, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so the whole that's a whole nother facet of the system. I mean, like every system that we have in the United States, every single system from voting all the way down to student loans is a Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
It's a scheme that is meant to make individuals, certain individuals, corporations, NGOs, and everything else boatloads of money while fucking over the individual.
Yeah. So they were talking about Hispanic and black kids. So yes, obviously there are white kids that get thrown into this. But let me tell you how this is affecting white kids. These black kids and Hispanic kids, because they're being taught the wrong things or being indoctrinated, they blame their white friends. Maybe they're not their friends, but white peers in another community. They say that guy across the train tracks, this kid over here, because he's white, that white privilege that he has is the reason why when you get to college you're not doing as well. Because when you're at Harvard, you got white kids that because of their white privilege, that's the reason why they're getting good grades in college and you're flunking out of college. Blame them. And it's stirring the whole thing up. And it's that other aspect of this whole system that is keeping all of us fucked.
That's, a good segue here. That's actually a pretty good segue. Let me see if I can find this real quick. So let's segue to this, because you're bringing up the indoctrination and everything else, and you and I talked about this when I picked you up at the airport.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Let's hit a sponsor real quick before we move into that, because I'm trying to make my time work all good here.
Sounds good.
So yeah, let's hit a sponsor real quick here, guys. Oh crap!
Mm-hmm.
I did that wrong.
Come back.
Baby, come back. Oh, no. Hold on, I did that completely wrong. All right, guys, we hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part that most people miss. Crypto was created so you actually own and control your money after the 2008 financial crisis. Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks, so instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you are in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward today, and everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started feels kind of complicated. It's exactly why we use Rumble Wallet. It takes the It takes all the complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want, whether it's Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank, and even be up and running in just minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumblers like us, Rumble creators like us, directly. So do this now. Scan the QR code, click the link in the description, and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and boom, you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. All right. Let's jump in, and that Rumble will be pinned up there at the top. I think I misclicked. I don't know if it double clicked or what, but something misclicked there. So, yeah, check out Rumble Wallet. They're great sponsors. We have them on all the platforms. So this is, I think this is indoctrination right here. So let me play this clip. And this was the shooting that took place. This is 10 minutes up the road from here. 10 minutes up the road. And this woman, it says only in Dade. It's hashtagged. It's actually only in Broward. It should be only in Broward. But this woman, there's a road rage incident beforehand over a parking spot or something. I don't know. But this is what ensues. All right, so you have this woman involved in the road rage incident, pulls a gun out, pointing down at this man for a while. There's a bunch of jump cuts there. There's, you know,
Yeah, a lot of jump cuts.
I don't want to say that it's selectively edited, but we could talk about the legality of what happened here. There's a huge debate on X, at least in my algorithm. I don't know about all you guys. Huge debate right now on what happened here. And again, I know Florida firearm law very well. I taught concealed courses for about 15 years. I have all the the updates to the Florida statutes. What she did here, getting out of the car right here in this scene right here, right there. She has a gun in her hand, exiting her vehicle. It's in her right hand down there. At that very moment right there, no matter what took place up until that point, you can see the man's obviously on the other side of that minivan.
Is that his minivan?
No, that's somebody else's.
Okay.
So you see that up to that point, he's on the other side of the minivan. He's got no gun. He's got no weapon. He's no direct threat to her. She has become the aggressor. Period. End of conversation. Under Florida law, 784-2.21 and 790.10, she is committing a felony right now by brandishing a weapon. Whether or not you have intent to kill, this has become aggravated assault. Once she points it at him, that's a whole nother level. That's now a forcible felony. So, the arguments that are going around, oh, she was in fear for her life, then stay in the car.
My question is, if it was concealed, like say she had it in a holster on her hip and got out of the car, it wouldn't have been the same, obviously, right?
No. If she's not touching it, no.
Yeah.
When you're brandishing it, when you have manual possession of the firearm.
Just confirming before we continue the conversation. Cool. All right.
So at that point, you get out of the car, and Florida law, I think it's 790. It might. I don't know. I have the law pulled up here actually. It's 776.012. A person is justified in using or threatening to use force, except deadly force, against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force. A person who uses or threatens or to use force in accordance with this subsection does not have a duty to retreat before using or threatening to use such force. Okay, so that's undeadly force. Okay, a person, no duty to retreat. All right, and before using or threatening to use such force. Now, a person is justified in using or threatening to use deadly force if he or she reasonably believes that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or another, to prevent the imminent commission of a forcible felony. A person who uses or threatens to use deadly force in accordance with the subsection does not have a duty to retreat and has the right to stand his or her ground if the person using or threatening to use deadly force is not engaged in a criminal activity and is in a place where he or she has a right to be. Okay? The man is not in he has a right to be there. It's a Walmart parking lot, public place. He is not engaged in the commission of criminal activity. He is standing around. He has no duty to retreat. He also, as long as she has that gun drawn, people are like, oh, she's backing up. I don't care. You're backing up with a gun pointed at me. Okay? That is not her retreating. The only way that she is retreating and de-escalating, no longer becoming the aggressor, is to put the gun away.
Put it away, yeah. Or get in your car. Which it was either way, put it away, but get in your car is the other option too.
Right. Last time I checked, bullets can travel at very, very fast speeds. Yep. Very, very fast, faster than the speed of sound. They can cover long distances, 100 yards or more. So as long as that gun is trained on me, I don't care what direction you're moving, you are still a threat to me.
That bullet is faster than whatever you can do to respond.
Exactly. Now, to be totally transparent here, while that woman, in my opinion, absolutely murdered that man, manslaughter, maybe. I could see manslaughter, but I wouldn't be opposed to murder. That man was still retarded.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody points a firearm at you, if you don't know what you're gonna do in the instant it's pointed at you, you in any way, shape, or form that you can, you de-escalate or get out of that situation. If that person continues to hold a firearm at you, you leave the premises immediately. Call the police if you have to, whatever it is. Get behind some type of barrier. You don't just stand there and have a conversation with someone pointing a firearm at you, especially when you're having an argument, because most likely that person's already unhinged if they get out of their car ready to point a firearm at you over a conversation.
Yeah.
Even if it is an argument.
And again, the guy is definitely retarded for not leaving. Mm-hmm. You know, and I hate to say it because he's dead, and I hate to disparage the dead, but by not leaving, and also so here's the thing: like when you're leaving, you don't turn your back on that person.
Never turn your back on.
You never, right? And the fact that she turned her back on him shows that he wasn't an imminent threat. She did not think he was an imminent threat.
Yeah, you don't point a gun at somebody and then turn away.
Right.
And then turn back to go point the gun at them.
Correct.
For me, when I saw it, the first time I saw it, I think it was when you guys showed it on SitRep, I think it was, on Thursday.
Yep.
I was just thinking to myself, like, I think the lady went in between stages of deciding whether to shoot him or not, but she got out with the intent to shoot him. Obviously, that's the reason she had the gun. It was not just for protection. This is obviously my opinion, guys, so just take it with a grain of salt, whatever, but you don't get out with the gun already ready to go unless you have the intent to shoot. She probably had the intent to, like, shoot him in the leg or something like that, and then she just got angry and angry and angry. She probably thought to herself, man, this is another white man, and we'll even take white out of it. It's another man. It's some man thinking that he's tough and stuff. You know what? I've got a gun. I'm tough. I'm tough too. And then he just said something that set her off. And it probably wasn't anything racial. It's probably something along the lines of like, bitch, you shouldn't be doing this or whatever. And she just lost it and just shot him. That it was a lack of self-control and an extremely idiotic thing to do. There are also other people there. That's the other thing. Like, I doubt that she's done a lot of shooting in her day. It's just my guess. The way that she was carrying herself, I doubt it. She could have harmed so many people, man. Like that, it just pissed me off. It did not need to happen.
Yeah.
But like you said, the guy, that was a dumb decision by him. It cost him his life, unfortunately. But anybody that's watching this or anybody that hears about this story, man, woman, if you're on one side of it or the other, think before you do some dumb shit, because you can either be the one that's dead, or for her, it's going to ruin her life. No matter what, that her life is ruined at this point.
So some of the arguments I've seen online is, would you want your wife to react that way? No, my wife would have stayed in the car and drove away.
Exactly.
My wife would gotten out of that situation. She knows when she's carrying her gun that she is not Superman. That gun is not a get out of jail free card, and that gun is not a I can talk shit because I got this thing protecting me. No, that gun is symbolic that you are going to avoid confrontation at all costs, and that is an absolute last resort. You will pull that firearm. You are not going to pull that firearm and get out of your car and start waving it around at somebody that's on the other side of another vehicle.
Yeah.
He's at least one parking spot away. At least one parking spot away. And so this is not her retreating in any way, shape, or form. If she would have got out of the car with her hand in her purse with the gun in there, walked into the Walmart, I'm okay with that. Walked into the Walmart, the guy's bantering, whatever. He's got a First Amendment right to free speech. He can say whatever he wants to you in the public. And I would have been fine with that. But she stood there and escalated that, pointed the gun at him, pulled the gun out in the first place from in the car, meaning she had the intent when she got out of her car that she knew that she might use this gun, which immediately should have told you, go away, leave. Yeah. So this is a terrible, terrible shooting. And it's unfortunate, like you said, Cam, it's unfortunate that's a black woman shooting a white man here. And, because the argument is, you're just saying that because she's black. No, I'm not. At all. And I would say it if the roles were reversed. If it was a white woman shooting a black man, if it was a black man shooting a white woman, whatever situation would be here, I would say that the shooter is wrong.
Yeah.
No question. So, and again, this goes to your point that it's unfortunate, Cam, that we're in a world now where, and I don't want to speak for this woman. I'm only going to assume. But I'm going to assume that woman got out of her car thinking, holy crap, I'm a black woman. This is a white man. He can do whatever he wants and nothing's going to happen to him. And I'm going to be the
street justice.
Street, right, exactly. It's got to be street justice, because if something happens to me, I'm not going to get any justice. And that's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
That's absolutely absurd. I'll point out the sheriff of Broward County is a black man.
Yeah.
And the sheriff.
They're also going to try to get all of us to think this is a race thing. I'll take it away from the racing just for this one part, because I do think race definitely has something to do with it. We'll say this individual got out of the vehicle angry and ready to shoot another human being over an argument. Like, that is my problem right there. Is I think we have to be realistic. The location, the race of the two individuals, the gender of the two individuals, that factors into it. But as an American, on our 250th birthday, one American, assuming this person's an American, one American got out of a vehicle brandishing a weapon to shoot another American over an argument, over their First Amendment right, thinking that their Second Amendment right was going to be it's your right to carry, shall not be infringed, but they think that the First Amendment does not stand. That's basically what that lady said with that action was, your First Amendment rights as a human being, as an American, don't matter to me. I'm going to kill you over it. And that's where we've gotten to.
Also, where's she going?
Yeah.
Like, you got the gun on him. Okay, now back yourself up to a safe space. Whether it's inside the Walmart, whether it's, to a police officer. Like, back yourself up until something... You're just going around a car.
They're going to argue that she was hunting him.
Yeah, honestly, she was hunting him. Exactly. She was stalking him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have no remorse for this lady. I feel bad that this man lost his life. If he was still here, I would say I don't feel as bad for him for getting shot, as long as he recovered, all that stuff. I wish it didn't happen because it was a dumb decision. But all in all, it's just it's a good reminder that, and I'm glad it happened before the 250th, as bad as that sounds, but these next 250 years, man, we have to do better. We have we have to realize that racial tension does exist, but it's contrived. It's not natural. It's not natural for us to hate each other because of our race. It is not natural for us to do all these. There's human nature of anger and human nature of frustration and things like that. But we have to realize when it's being used to manipulate us into a globalist or any type of groups like think their ideology and the way that they want to push us. And as Americans, man, we have the freedom to think for ourselves. And we cannot be manipulated by outside forces. Not anymore, man, because they've had control for too long.
I'm with you, brother. All right, let's jump into this story here. This was an interesting one. We got to watch this one unfold in real time. NPR's Nina Totenberg put out an article on NPR following all the Supreme Court decisions on Tuesday, announcing the retirement of Justice Samuel Alito, highlighting that he wrote the opinion in Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade and Dobbs v. Jackson. And he retired. That's what she said.
Great job, Alito. You served your country well.
Oh, wait, it's not true. He didn't actually retire.
I'm coming back.
She had to retract that. And, we went through this whole roller coaster on air, right? I think it was on Tuesday as well with Zach. She's retired. And then 10 minutes later, wait, NPR retracted, because I was like, that's weird. Alito's only 76. That's young for a Supreme Court justice to retire.
Yeah.
And if you're going to retire, you wouldn't do it right before the midterm elections. You would do it right before Trump's, probably like the third year of Trump's second term, so that he could get, or third term, he could get somebody, that he wants appointed and replacing you. You don't do it right away.
Right.
It's kind of weird. Then she retracted the story, and immediately, live on air, you heard it here first. Canary trap.
Yep.
Who is the SCOTUS leaker? And there could be more than one. I implied it could be the Dobbs leaker. Maybe it's not. But very interesting how that all unfolded. Totenberg came out and made a formal apology. Brian Stelter put this out on X. Dear Justice Alito, this is from Totenberg. There are no words to adequately apologize for today's error in reporting your retirement. It was entirely my fault. In other words, don't go looking for a leaker.
Don't try to figure out how I found this.
In other words, my source is like pissed because they told me not to publish this until you announced it. I rushed out of the courtroom after the opinion announcements, and when I realized that the usual rush of folks after a few minutes had not happened, I asked somebody what was going on inside, which the answer was retirement announcements. I didn't hear the S on the announcements, and I assumed something no reporter should ever do, that you were retiring. Wait a second. Why did you go to Alito? There's 8 other justices.
Retirement announcement. Oh, Alito's retiring. Oh, that's exact. That I know what that means.
Why didn't you go to Clarence Thomas? He's older.
Right?
He's older. Why didn't you go to Roberts? I think he's the same age as Alito. Why didn't you go to Sotomayor? She's the one that speculated to be retiring.
Why didn't you go to Ketanji Brown Jackson? She's retarded.
Well, it's like a couple words that you have to change around there, like two letters, the A and the D.
Retired.
Take out the D.
No, we
change the A with an I.
Retarded, not retiring. That would be so great if they wrote that.
We need a meme video of that.
Oh,
like, how'd you know it was Alito? It could have been KJB.
Yeah.
No, we said she's retired. No, she's retarded, not retired. That's hilarious. That's a good one, Cam. Reading on, it says, it was the worst professional mistake of my more than 50 years in journalism. I could go on, but I don't know what else to say except that I'm so sorry.
Not enough to save face.
Not at all.
You got
Not at all. And again, nothing about that makes sense. So she's in the court. She leaves. Apparently she has like front row seats and she has like VIP status, so she gets out early. And apparently she didn't see the normal rush of people coming outside. Does she normally I mean maybe she was out there as a journalist and she was just waiting to get questions, like from who?
Yeah,
from who? You're Nina Totenberg. You've been writing about the Supreme Court for 3 or 4 decades now.
Yeah.
Go back and write your article. You've probably already got it pre-written anyways, at least 2 or 3 different drafts that you're first to publish. That whole retirement thing was pre-written.
Yeah.
Except for the first line that he retired. You know, we're announcing when he retired.
Right.
Everything else in there was pre-drafted. Why did you have it pre-drafted? Do you have one? I mean, you could have one for every justice.
Yeah.
And then when somebody says retirement announcement and you assume it's Alito, that means somebody told you it's going to be Alito.
Yep. That means if somebody wanted it to be Alito. That's the other thing I got. That's the one they wanted out. That's where they were ready to go with it.
Yep. Yeah, I think, I'll double down on this. Miranda Devine agrees with me. She reshared my post, but also put her own post out the next morning. The only way Totenberg-Alito story makes sense is that this veteran NPR legal reporter had a trusted and highly placed source inside SCOTUS who confirmed Alito was retiring. No editor would publish such a story unless the reporter was reliable. A reliable reporter does not say, "Oh, I thought I heard something," without double checking with a source to confirm. Ideally, she would call Alito to confirm as well.
Yeah.
But somehow Totenberg and her editors at NPR were satisfied that her sourcing was impeccable without official on-the-record confirmation. That leaves a very small list of suspects. Someone close to Alito who is very confident that he was retiring. As people have speculated, Alito may have planted a false tale to catch out the leaker, a canary trap. Now what?
Yeah.
It's not conspiracy theory when Miranda Devine is out there kind of talking about that as well. I think that's a big deal. I think this is a huge deal. The leaks inside of the Supreme Court, not just the Dobbs decision, there's been some other subtle leaks, is big, and that should not happen in that institution. And if you can't trust the people you're working with, then you don't have a work environment that's effective. Yep. So I thought that was a really interesting story. Apparently, the House has voted 420-0, 420 hat tip CannCon, to direct the House Ethics Committee to publicly release records of congressional members' monetary settlements involving sexual misconduct. That was a resolution filed by Representative Massey. Again, kind of disrupting things. On his way out. I don't know if anything's ever going to come of that. I don't know if it's just going to be, this is how much they paid, or if it's going to be the details of why they had to pay it.
It's gonna be monetarily, because I think that's the only reason why it was 420-0. I think it makes them all look like they're strong on sexual harassment or misconduct, but don't look into what we did or how
preventing their own corruption.
Exactly. Yeah.
We investigate our own. Look,
Yep.
We've been doing this for a while. Look at all the money that your taxpayers have paid off for their sexual deviances.
Yeah.
For their sexual deviances.
Because some of those could just be like you were accused of something and you didn't do it, but then you got into this legal issue and you're just like, man, let's settle out of court because I don't want you to try to tarnish my name. I don't have time to go through all this. And that's what all of them will use it as an excuse. It's like, I never did the thing, but I did pay the money to make it go away.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
Let's talk briefly about this story. Me and Alpha nailed this story.
I heard this one.
Me and Alpha nailed this story. FBI infiltrated Governor Gavin Newsom's inner circle by convincing governor's ally to wear a wire.
Uh-oh.
So let's just read through this. Hold on, I'll get my highlights back here. Hey, why is it doing that? There we go. Democrat insider Alexis Podesta, 45, secretly recorded conversations during the criminal probe into Newsom's then chief of staff, Dana Williamson, who pled guilty to federal fraud and tax charges in May, according to Williamson's attorney. The revelation that Podesta was wearing a wire as far back as June of 2024 explains why a swath of Sacramento political insiders and lobbyists were stunned to receive FBI letters last fall informing them that their phone calls had been intercepted during the investigation, despite many having little or no connection to Williamson. The disclosure comes as Newsom's announced last month that he and his wife, as well as members of the governor's inner circle, are under federal investigation. Assemblyman member Josh Hoover, Republican from Folsom, said that he was among those who received one of the letters, even though he had never spoken with either Williamson or Podesta. This is where the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon,
Yep.
second or third degrees of a FISA tap. Quote, a lot of people received letters essentially informing us that there were certain periods of times where the FBI was given access to follow phone calls. I don't know how these investigations work, but it sounds like they cast a pretty broad net across the Capitol community to see what they could find. I have no sympathy for spying on politicians when they're conducting official business.
Yeah, they're not at that point, in my opinion, they have not no rights, but they don't have anywhere close to the rights of private citizens. You first of all, you chose that job, and then we chose you. Well, not chose, but we chose you, quote unquote, to be in this position to represent us. So we should be able to have oversight over everything except for like a few personal things. But when you're doing official business, it should almost be like a live feed, like a cop cam almost of what you're doing. It's like we should be able to see what you are doing, what you're signing, how you're doing these backroom deals, because if this is going to affect us, we should know what's going on.
Yeah, there was a video a while ago in Atlanta, I believe it was, and there was a journalist that was trying to get into like a conference of state legislators that were meeting with corporations.
Yeah.
And the deals that go on in those back rooms, they're so secretive, they wouldn't let anybody have any knowledge of what was going on in there. And, you know, this is where the backroom deals are made. Yeah. This is where they go in there and they're like, hey, you're elected by the people. And this goes back to the SEC, Citizens United versus SEC that we talked about earlier on. You're elected by the people, but you don't really represent them. You hold my interest. Yep. Your own self-interest is my interest. My interests need to be your self-interest. And that's how this whole system works. And so having absolute transparency like this and having somebody wear a wire, we got a chance to see how the sausage is made. And, you know, when you see how the sausage is made, you really don't like the sausage anymore.
Nope.
Kind of disgusting, actually.
Switch to beef.
Yeah, switch to beef. Podesta, a longtime Democratic power broker, remains on California State Compensation Insurance Fund Board after Newsom appointed her in January 2020. She previously served as the secretary of the California Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency. I'm sure that's a totally legitimate and uncorrupt organization. Oh, yeah. And held senior positions in Governor Jerry Brown's administration. She also worked for PGE, a very corrupt organization in California. Disney.
Nice.
We all know about Disney. And the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Podesta has not been charged with a crime, but her attorney has identified her as the uncharged co-conspirator described in the Williamson indictment and confirmed she has cooperated with federal investigators. In other words, she made a deal.
Sang like a bird.
Made a deal. She is going to get off. Now, you know what the crazy thing? So Podesta, Newsom, we all know Newsom plans on running for president. I think that's his ultimate goal. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But you know what this is really going to throw a monkey wrench in, Cam?
What?
The 2026 governor's race.
Oh.
And the reason for that is because the Williamson indictment mentions somebody.
Who?
Javier Becerra.
Ah.
So Williamson, and this is what me and Alpha covered like probably 6 or 7 months ago now. And Alpha nailed it. Alpha.
I remember him talking about this.
Yeah, he said that they're tickling the wire right now on this case, and they're trying to get people to panic. And he was, I don't think people understand how significant tickling the wire was, because if somebody was actually wearing a wire, they were literally tickling the wire.
Yeah.
You know, and getting people to talk about this. And, you know, Podesta was a trusted person in that organization. And there's no question, if she was intimately involved in all this, that people went to her and they were like, hey, have you seen this investigation? What are we going to do about this? They've got a lot of fucking dirt, I bet.
And she was able to speak openly because she already knew that she was protected, because
she was a co-conspirator.
Exactly. So she said that she probably told the truth. She was like, this is what's going on. They're after you for this. And they're like, oh shit, well, this is how we're going to skirt it. This is what we need to hide. This is all the evidence that they're going to find if we, oh man, she probably got it all recorded.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Becerra, Williamson was running money out of Becerra's campaign account when he was Health and Human Services Secretary under Biden. And this money was being, laundered for personal expenditures and all that kind of stuff. Now, the interesting thing about this is the Williamson-Becerra campaign thing doesn't really have much to do with Newsom specifically and his wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom's nonprofits. But this is being brought up again. There's an investigation into this. they got something on that too. This was a broad net. It was a justified broad net.
Yeah.
And it caught a lot of fish. And, again, the fact that they're putting Alexis Podesta's name out there right now is shocking.
Yeah.
That is absolutely shocking. You have now put a target on her back.
Yeah.
Whether it's a physical target or whether it's just
political.
Yeah. And retribution. She's going to be scrutinized with a fine-tooth comb for years from now. You might not see Alexis Podesta taken down for years because they can't do it right away. That'd be retaliation against a whistleblower, protections and all that stuff. But man, this is really, really interesting. What's going on right now in California?
That means they must have had a lot. She must have been going. They must have not threatened her, but legally threatened her with a lot. Because to turn on them like that, you have to be like, it's either jail for basically the rest of my life, total destruction of my career, or turn on them. Because they don't turn on their own unless it's a sweet deal.
Yep. Damn fascinating case right there. So we'll keep tabs on that as we go through. Let's see, where do we want to go next?
If you want to talk about those guys, we can. But I'm not a fan of. Was it? Is he doctor? It's something like that. It's like,
I don't know. I'll give you the first shot here. This is your boy in Georgia.
This is not.
Yeah, he is very.
So this is Warnock. Raphael. Warnock's not actually the guy that's going to talk here. It's the guy to his left, or to Warnock's right.
What's the guy's name to the left?
I don't know.
I've seen him before.
But here they are talking about James Carville leaving the Democrat Party and Tucker Carlson.
Okay.
He's very funny. Right, and he's also
leaving the Republican Party.
I think about, but this is what he said. He was talking about this Lisa Abillier Chevalier. She says she has attacked interracial relationships, which is true. She doesn't like race mixing. Formerly the position of the Ku Klux Klan, but now this is the far left.
I believe it's still the position of the Ku Klux Klan. Right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, you're right.
But now it's apparently also the position of the far left. Okay. He says she's against that. She's against the American flag. He said, lady, I ain't in the same party as you. He said, Democrats, we're a coalition. We're a big tent. And there's just some shit I can't be in the same tent with. I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. Okay, so Tucker Carlson has quit the Republicans and James Carville has quit the Democrats. WTF, Rev. What's going on? Really?
Well, Bill, the far left, they always take things too far. The far right, they just make shit up. That's the difference between the far left and the far right. Far right, you know it's the far right if they're making shit up, and you know it's the far left if they just take things too far, Because there's always well-meaning underneath some of these things, and I don't know why things have to go to the extreme in order to get something done. That doesn't make sense to me.
Trying to push far left rhetoric because he's saying they go too far, but there's something underneath it. That whenever I hear these guys talk like that, they attack the other side, but then they try to give a little bit of daylight, or not daylight, but they try to pump up whatever horrible thing is just wrong. They're like, well, they just go too far with it. There's the right lies, the far right lies, but the far left, they just go too far with it, which means we want you to go that far. You're gonna go that far. That's the intention of going that far, but we can't see it on TV.
I would have pushed back on that. What because again, far right is a big tent.
Yeah.
Because I'm labeled as far right, and I think I'm more center than a lot of these people. But since I'm labeled far right, what am I lying about?
So I don't think you're lying about anything. I'm just telling you, when I wanted to say it right when he was done before, so I didn't forget. I know what these guys do when they're having conversations like that is on Bill Maher's show, they're trying to get every single person that identifies as left to actually go try to do the far left thing. Because they're saying, man, F James Carville, or they put Tucker Carlson and Carville in the same category. They want all the Democrats and even the more centrist Republicans to say, you guys they don't associate with parties anymore. First of all, stay tribalized. And second of all, if you're on the left, go far left, just don't go too far left, because that's like the Klan. That's that lady's the same as the Klan, but get close to the line. Don't make it so that you can't intermix. But I do want you to still hate Whitey. Like that's literally what he's trying to say there. That's his dog whistle to the people out there that have at least a little bit of like social intelligence to know that he's not saying don't do that. He's saying don't be obvious about it. But when it comes to the right, like the far right thing, and he's saying they're lying, that's been a Democrat thing from day one. Is that if you can't argue against their policies, just say they're lying.
I would love to know
what you're lying about.
What I'm lying about. I mean, the joke is, what's the difference between the conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months.
Yep.
There's a reason that's a running joke.
Because it takes 6 months for it to become true again.
Well, it's funny because it's true, right? It's funny because it's true.
Yep.
It's ironic, that they make that I don't know that. So the other problem here is, and again, when you look at Tucker and you look at James Carville is leaving the Democrat Party because he believes it's going too far left.
Yep.
And he wants to stay in the establishment. Tucker is leaving the GOP because he feels like it's staying too far establishment and not going far enough to, and I don't want to say to the right, because Tucker is not to the right. Tucker is populist.
Yeah.
He's a populist. And I think, and again, we could get into the content of what that Chevalier or whatever it is, the woman running in, where the fuck is she running?
You told me this earlier.
I know. It's Colorado, isn't it?
Dude, I can't remember. Someone in the chat.
Why? Wow.
Someone in the chat, if you remember it, please put it in. Because
I didn't even cover this story because it was just a very dumb story.
Brian was telling me before.
Mayor of Denver. It's the mayor of Denver. Me and Ash covered her. I don't know. But the idea that, that's a Democrat talking point now, that she doesn't stand for interracial marriage. I mean, you're in a interracial relationship. Is that something that's true in the black community? Is there do you get pushback because of your relationship?
I don't. My family's very different. So my dad.
I don't mean from your family. I mean like from society.
Oh no, I know. It's there are definitely groups, but not really, because I think it's gotten to the point where it's like, I don't really know how to describe it. I think it's just become so commonplace at this point that I don't think that I've never felt pushback from society. When I was younger, it was a little different, but that was more just like being one of the only black people around a bunch of white people, just like kind of getting weird looks and stuff like that. But it was never like, you guys can't intermingle, like this is not right. But there are definitely factions of the black community that are like, let's just keep it all black, which I get, because I get it when white communities do it. I get it when Asian communities do it. I get it when we'll say like not countries, but like subsets. So like when you've got like Jamaicans or you got like Haitians, like those people usually stick together, that makes sense. But it's never like you can't do it. It's only one way. Like white is right or black is the only way. Or I don't see that in society. I think there's small like fake factions of that. I think it's made by intelligence communities, and I think people genuinely believe it in small segments, but I think it's unnatural. It's inorganic is the word I was looking for. I think it's inorganic.
So it's interesting because, just looking at the chat, and I'm not going to point you out by name, New K's. Muhammad Ali was against it. Nation of Islam is against it. Yeah, so are Jews, so are Italians, so are blacks, so are the only people that's not allowed to be against interracial relationships are white people.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at, except for I didn't bring up the whole only one that can't be. But like, it's a common thing, man. Like there's nothing, to me, there's nothing wrong with being proud of your own race, your own culture. Like for me, I'm proud to be American. I identify as American. If you identify as a black American or white American, it's okay to be proud of being a white American or a black American. It's okay to be proud of being white, being black, whatever. It's when you hate another group because they're different than you, that's where I have the problem.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, the most exposure you're going to get is to a particular, like if I'm a white man living in I'm going to mainly be exposed to white women.
Yeah.
Like when I went to school, there was only like 3 or 4 black kids in my class. If I grew up in Atlanta, I would probably be predominantly black and Hispanic.
It would be your friend group would change. Like my friend, this is the thing that always used to bother me growing up. People would be like, not my friends obviously, but people would be like, why don't you spend time with more black people? I'm like, do you see the people that are around me? I'm hanging out with my fucking friends. These are the guys I play soccer with. I have Hispanic friends because I'm playing soccer. When I play baseball, most of my friends are white. When I play basketball, most of my friends are black. The reason I'm with them is because I stopped playing basketball, stopped playing baseball, played soccer. You know what I mean? Like, or my school. My school was like, I had a lot of Jewish friends at my school. Like, I have 2 or 3 friends to this day that I'm still pretty close with. We don't talk as much, that are Jewish. One of them is actually Israeli, like Israeli Jew, like bloodline. And I see it now, but growing up, no, it's funny. I see it
We
now.
had this conversation.
Yeah.
I remember
But the thing is, I still love him as a friend, but I get it. Like, my friendship is not reliant on the race of the person that I'm being friends with. It's their character. Like, do you treat me with respect? Do you treat my family with respect? And do I think you're genuinely a good person? And that's really all you have to be my friend. And why do I care?
Right.
Why do I care?
So I can understand, like, you know, talking about, and it's funny that the first example was Islam and then followed that up with Jewish, and I can understand religion.
Yeah,
I totally get that. Like, I think that's one place. Race, not so much. Religion, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because why am I going to spend the rest of my life with somebody who does not fundamentally believe the same things that I believe?
Yeah. You're lying to yourself.
You are absolutely lying. You are setting yourself up for a massive conundrum when you guys die.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I
honey,
didn't even think about
you're
that.
going to hell because you're Jewish and I'm Christian and I believe that Jews go to hell and vice versa. I'm not saying that that's true. I'm making that up.
Yeah.
But, you know, Catholics, if you're not baptized, you go to purgatory.
Yep.
If you're not a baptized Catholic, their belief is you go to purgatory. Yeah. So, I'm Catholic. I'm baptized Catholic. And my wife's Christian. She's not Catholic per se. But, you know, are we to believe that? Now, go to the other end and imagine like a Jew and a Muslim being married together, or, you know, Christian and a Muslim, or a Christian and a Jew. It's
Imagine
just
a Christian and a Satanist.
Yeah, right?
Like that's
love knows no bounds.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And that, so I'm perfectly okay with, you know, and that's why I don't make a big deal like when it's like, oh, Jews only marry Jews, Muslims only marry Muslims, and it's like, so
Cool.
that's the way it probably should be, you know. But like black on white. Now that's the thing. Like, and maybe you can correct me on this observation, but like black women, when they see a black man with a white woman, holy shit!
It's changed a little bit, but yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
to be fair though, that is also a bit inorganic because I do understand it. Like, especially like you're a mom, you're a black mom, you have a black son, and then he marries a white woman. You don't have a black. You're not gonna have a black daughter-in-law. You may have a partially black grandchild. You know, like granddaughter, because you might even have a grandson. So I get that, but I think it's more. I think that Keith O'Higgins said this a long time ago, and he was like, black women have been the most. I think he did it on my call-in show a long time ago. Black women have been the most attacked singular group in American history, and I was like, I don't know. And he started explaining it to me. And what I realized is, yes, in a way, yes, but it's not just because of them being black women. It's because of the areas they reach into. They can be mothers of first of all, the biggest one was mothers of black sons. That was the one that really got me when Keith said that. But mothers of black daughters, mothers-in-laws to white daughters, to Asian daughters, to Hispanic daughters. Because it's the mom part that was the big part, and then the being considered the lower race, like throughout history. Obviously, they're not. Like women are equal to women, men are equal to women, equal to men. Races are different. But when he said that, and I thought about it, it made a lot of sense. And I was like, that's why you see videos like the shooting right there. That woman has been told her whole life that you need to be strong because you're lesser than. That's the hidden thing behind it. When they say like, oh, you got to be proud of your race, blah, blah. You need to be proud of your race because you're actually lesser than, so you need to do something to one up it to make it even playing field. And I think that's why black women get so upset when they see a black man with a white woman, because in their head they've been taught a white woman is better than you, and a little bit of them believes it. And that's why it bothers me, because I'm just like, all women are not the same, but I almost said something silly. To me, I love all women. That's that. Like growing up, I remember thinking to myself,
careful now.
Obviously, it's different now. But growing up, I remember thinking to myself, like, I've seen attractive women of every race. I've seen extremely ugly women of every race. The race has nothing to do with it. It changes the physical features. And then when it comes to guys, like there have been great white running backs, and there have been great black there have been
the best running back in the league right now is white.
And then there have been great black quarterbacks. Like that was always my thing growing up. Like, great white. Ricky Proehl was one of my favorite wide receivers growing up. Jordy Nelson, love him. But it's just funny to me that like you'll have a black woman that's just like, oh, I can't believe he's with a white woman, and I'm just like, why do you? He obviously doesn't. First of all, it's not the race part, but he obviously is not attracted to you. Second of all, why don't you go find a man? Go find yourself a white man if you're so upset about it. Like my aunt, that's
get him back.
My aunt that
take one off the board.
My aunt that's a Marine. He's no longer with us. He passed away, but they were divorced before, or at least separated before he passed away. But my uncle Johnny was a Marine, passed away. My aunt Sean, Marine. They were married, and I remember. He's white, she's black. He was like 15 years older than her, man. But he's badass. He's one of my favorite uncles that I've ever had, including my like blood related uncles. And I thought it was so cool just having like a white guy like take me places. Like I was like, that's my Uncle Johnny. And people would look at us like, that's your uncle? I'm like, yeah, that's my uncle. How's he your uncle? He married my aunt. Like, why are we even having this conversation?
Blink twice if you're being kidnapped.
Right? No, it's funny the other way around. When you have a black dad and like black man and a white nephew or a white niece. Black man with a little white girl as his niece. That'll be awkward. You hope you have the same last name. Let's put it that way.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, man, it's all inorganic in my opinion.
All right, let's get into this. Will probably be the last segment we do here today. We got a party to get to, and the women will be screaming at us here. So,
I've already gotten some texts. They were at Publix, by the way. So
I should have told them we got more ribs. CBS News: former CIA Director John Brennan sues Justice Department Trump officials over criminal probes. This is just Brennan suing and saying, to make a long story short, because we are getting towards the end here. Brennan is suing and saying, hey, save all your communications, contemporaneous, meaning he wants all of the text messages and things, emails that are being sent right now about this investigation, so that maybe down the road he can come out and say that it's a vindictive investigation or whatever the case may be. Alpha had a very interesting theory that they can probably use this to their advantage at the DOJ because there's certain things that it's hard to get it admitted into a courtroom, but now you can get it admitted by putting into text messages and sending it back and forth. And then boom, it's on the record. And Brennan did it on his own. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But to continue with that, President Trump, before he got on board the brand new luxurious Air Force.
So beautiful.
Air Force One, beautiful plane. Yeah, absolutely. He said this about Bill Pulte, the acting ODNI.
Mr. President, real quick question. You've got DNI Pulte over there as the new director. We also know you have the task force set up on declassification, maybe talking about international, maybe looking at some declassification. Are you able to give us an update on that?
Declassify almost everything. And by the way, we have Jay Clayton who's going in. Bill Pulte is a very talented guy, but he's just there temporarily until Jay Clayton. And Jay Clayton is going through the process. And Jay Clayton, highly respected, and so is Bill Pulte. But Bill is there just for a fairly short period of time. While he's there, I said, you can declassify whatever you want.
Do you think we're going to get some soon, or maybe 2020?
I told him you can do it as fast. You got to ask him.
All right.
But I think, it's a friend of yours. I think that Bill will declassify. I told him you can declassify whatever you want. So Bill's there just, for maybe a month or 2 months or something. And Jay is going through the process. He's got a hearing in 2 weeks. Highly respected man, Jay Clayton. Okay?
So Bill Pulte is just there for a few weeks. Declassify everything. That way when he leaves and moves on, hey, he wasn't supposed to declassify. Well, he's gone now. We can't really do anything about it. But we got all the stuff. We got all the stuff.
Mercenary.
Yeah, pretty much. And that has Hillary Clinton freaking the bleep out. This is her on Mark Elias's podcast.
I hope there are career and even political appointees in various of the agencies that are slow walking or refusing to share information with Pulte.
So that's what she says on the podcast. Now check out the article from Just the News. Hillary Clinton said people should be, quote, worried about everything regarding Bill Pulte, quote unquote. She went on the Democracy Docket podcast with Mark Elias and said Pulte is, quote unquote, very dangerous and a, quote unquote, loose cannon. She also called his appointment, quote, deeply insulting to the intelligence community, end quote, noting Pulte has no intelligence experience. It's probably the reason he's so appealing. Quote, the DNI has access to everything that they want to see, Clinton said. I mean, I hope there are career and even political appointees in various of the agencies that are slow walking or refusing to share information with Pulte. That is a dog whistle to all of the career bureaucrats, telling them this is, we got your back if you do this. We got your back. This is the same thing Comey did with the FBI agents when he said, we've got career FBI agents in there who are just trying to hide and not do anything to get, to get through this administration. That's subversion of the president. And there's a reason that Hillary Clinton feels comfortable enough, or at least panicked enough, to go on Mark Elias's podcast and say those things publicly.
Yeah, I know your audience is intelligent enough to know this, but whenever I hear anything like that, I love it because Hillary Clinton is in no way, shape, or form lying. He is a loose cannon. He is a threat, and it's because there's, as Chris Paul always says, good twin, evil twin. The evil twin, what she just said is all intended for the evil twin, and it is for the good twin. That is perfect. That is what we want.
Amen. Let me just make sure there's not anything that I need to connect. Oh, you want to talk about that?
Didn't you guys talk about that on?
Yeah, but this is a Reek in Review, so we talk about.
Oh, yeah, then yeah, I'm done.
All right, you want to talk about this because I know you had a take on this. So this was what's his name? Sean.
I always forget this guy's name.
I do too. Ben Swan. Ben Swan talking about USAID and potentially the effects that it's had on music and influence on American culture.
Is USAID responsible for the rise and now decline of rap music? Because as soon as USAID gets defunded, no one listens to rap anymore. Billboard released this article that states no rap songs are in the Billboard Top 40 for the first time since 1990. First time in 35 years. It has not been the case. So think about this. This first happened in October of last year. It has recently happened again. It's now 2 cycles. No rap music in the top 40.
And actually, people were mentioning a while ago, was the first time in literally at least a decade where there were no rap songs or rap albums, whatever it was, charting in the Billboard 200 or whatever it was. Is this even a conspiracy anymore? Or can we all admit this is probably exactly what happened? I do think that USAID, amongst other probable NGOs, were astroturfing rap music, hip hop, artists like Lizzo into the music industry and our airwaves in order to mainstream hip hop culture.
Trash.
I think degeneracy as well. I don't think it was organic.
Again, to just correct something Lauren Chin said there, first time in 35 years it's happened. And while correlation does not always equal causation, we know that. Here are a few interesting facts to note while looking at this particular correlation. Are you familiar with the artist Jackson Pollock? He's kind of the father of abstract modern art. Art that means nothing, right? It's squiggles and paint smears. Turns out the public didn't actually like Jackson Pollock's art as much as the CIA did. Because recently declassified CIA documents reveal, by the way, that's some of the horrible art for you, the CIA helped to fund, to purchase, and to heavily promote Jackson Pollock's art during the Cold War. Why would they do that? Well, it was a way to make America look more creative and free and culturally stronger than the Soviet Union. It wasn't just about paintings, though. It was part of a bigger plan to...
That is the most fascinating piece right there. And I mean, it's not entirely true, right? You're picking out certain examples, right? But like the introduction, and the OSS became the CIA following World War II. The Bureau of Investigations became the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI, after World War II.
Yeah. The
CIA, the main culprit in all of this, and just look at how degenerate we've become since then. I mean, that bottom stuff there is, I mean, it's interesting looking, but it's fucking terrible.
I think that guy has it maybe half right, but I think he's a little bit wrong where he says it was put out there to make America look more appealing and more free. I think it was to make our side dumber, not dumber, but like less cultural. I think it was to kill the culture. I don't think it was to make the culture more appealing. I think it was to destroy the culture. Like it was we'll destroy one side with their form of government, and we'll destroy the other side with their culture, and then eventually we'll merge the two together and destroy the government over here on this side, the Western culture or Western government, and then destroy the culture of the Soviet Union.
I can get behind that idea. I think following World War II, there was a lot of things in American society that changed as a whole. Yeah. World War I and World War II, immediately following the Federal Reserve, the 15th, 16th Amendment, the 16th, 17th Amendments, introducing the Federal Reserve, giving the banks all the power in this country, and in order to justify the banks having that power, you needed the dual income households. You needed two households that were making the money, and it didn't just stop there. They needed the destabilization. They needed to create an electorate that was dependent on the government, and I think they did that in the black community with, like everything that's been done to the black community, in my opinion, has been a deliberate effort by our intelligence apparatus and the powers that be, the quote unquote deep state. And that's the unfortunate thing, is the black community is one of the most manipulated communities out there when it comes to deep state manipulation.
And then we were used to come after the white community.
Yeah, and they used them.
The black community was used to attack the white community with the things that the CIA and intelligence communities had put into the black community.
Absolutely, and it was a vulnerable sector of the of our society, because we just came off slavery, which everybody here, nobody is like, oh, we need to go back to slavery. Nobody says that, guys. I know you want to say there's like white supremacists out there. Sure, there's plenty of white people that think that they need to stay in white society.
I'm pretty sure they were going to get rid of slavery in I think it was the article. Rick was telling me this. I think it was either the Articles of Confederation or something like that before they even like solidified the Constitution. They were going to get rid of slavery. It was just one of the things they couldn't agree upon enough to be able to like put it in right then. So this country was going to get rid of slavery before every other country in the world, at least over 100 years before that. Yeah, around 100 years before that. So we've been trying to get rid of slavery for a very long time, and we're debt slaves now, to be honest. But
yeah, and that's a great point, because at the same time we were fighting over slavery, like half of the free world still had slaves.
Oh yeah,
and nobody ever mentions that.
Yeah.
Right. But to the point there, there was a huge debate over slavery with the Constitution and the Articles of Confederation, and eventually the Constitution. And the only reason they settled on it was because otherwise the Constitution never would have came to fruition.
Exactly.
And so they had to make concessions on it. And then they killed 650,000 Americans. We killed each other over that same issue. They were the most vulnerable population because they came off of this. There was animosity, there was hatred, there was resentment. And with this 1964 Civil Rights Act, they were able to win over that population to a government that is truly good and is going to give you the rights and so from there, it's a malleable society. And they pumped in not just the rap music, because rap music, I love 90s hip hop. It's one of my favorite music genres.
By the way, I still think there's some organic music that came about from there. People always say that rap music was contrived by the CIA to hold down the black community. Maybe so. Maybe certain rap music. But I'll tell you right now, there are rappers that came out in the 70s and like the 80s and even the 90s and probably in the 2000s where the music, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not hate-filled music.
Of course. But the difference is the targeting. So the music was just a weapon.
Yep.
When you have a weapon, you have to point it at something. And it was pointed at the urban black communities. It was pointed at them to fuel the crack cocaine epidemic.
Yep.
It was fueled at them to create prisoners, to destabilize those communities, to create crime, to put people in prisons where, these executives had stock ownership in it. And this has all been proven. A lot of this, not all of it, but the entirety of the conspiracy, we can get into that, argument or not. But I mean, again, there's plenty, like when I was in the 90s, I was listening to Tupac, I was listening to Snoop Dogg, I was listening to Eazy-E, I was listening to, I wasn't listening to some of the gangster rap that's out there.
Yeah.
Although I think Dr. Dre and all that was
But to be fair, the thing is with the gangster rap, like for me, the music of Tupac's that I liked the most was usually the more what'd you call it, the ballads,
Ballads.
Ballads. Yeah. But no, the ones that were more ballads, like Dear Mama, beautiful
Dear
song.
Mama's a great song.
There's a song that Jackie and I played when I was on her show, but it was literally, I don't think he cursed once in the song. It was just him riding around talking about like being, I think it was live and die in LA. Like, I don't think there's a curse word. There may be one, but like, I'm pretty sure there was not a single curse word in the song. It's like a light, even the colors in the background are fun. Like, even I Get Around, yeah, that song is a little bit more sexual or whatever, but the women in there are literally wearing two-piece bathing suits that cover their whole butt cheeks. Like, they weren't wearing thong bikinis and like shaking it. It was a pool party, you know what I mean? Like, there was music like that came out, and that stuff is, I don't think that poisons the mind. I don't think that's the hate-filled music that destroys a society.
Yeah. California Lovin' is one of my favorite Tupac songs.
That's a fun song, man.
It's a fun song. It's played out. It got played out back then, but it's still one of my favorites.
But the key is,
and then of course I like Riding on My Enemies. But.
Well, yeah. The thing is also one joke, or not one. Yeah, it was a joke or something like that someone told me one time. They're like, "You're having a bad day. Put on some gangster rap and get over it."
Yeah,
it'll work. That'll work. You put on some gangster rap. You get that anger out, but it'll cheer you up. Also, metal will do that for you too.
But so that was the destabilizing of society, and they did that by, that had ripple effects, because when you put the black community down and you put all these people in prison, when you destabilized their societies, when you took away the nuclear family, and you had black mamas that were raising babies without their fathers around, and you put them in the shackles of government again.
Yep.
You put them right back in the shackles, because now they're dependent on that welfare check. Now they're dependent on that SNAP. And it's not just blacks. They did this to whites too. Yep. Especially
anybody that was poor.
Poor, exactly. It was always associated. It was always an economics thing more than a racial thing. It just happened that at that time it was. I mean, there's still more poor white people than there are black people, but the per capita difference, blacks are disproportionate. Yeah. So all of that is a construct of the CIA. That entire scheme right there is a construct of the CIA funding USAID, National Endowment for Democracy, all of these NGOs. They all, and again, going back to the election thing, all of these NGOs are making millions upon millions of dollars off of the homeless population, and they utilize that population. They use and coerce that population to do their bidding in order to keep their cash cow open. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a single fuck about you. And so
I got one thing to say to the black community, but to all communities. The man is not a white man. It is the intelligence community. That's the man. If you think the people that say the horrible phrase of kill whitey, the whitey you're thinking about is not white people. It's the intelligence community. That is our enemy as the American people. It's the intelligence community, because for me, they're I think we talked about earlier, they're the Praetorian Guard of the globalists. Like, that is that is the army that, not physically but financially and socially, we need to fight against the intelligence communities and that ideal. That's our enemy, and that's our enemy because our enemy is the globalism, but their foot soldiers are the intelligence community. So for the next not next 250 years, but after this 250, now that we're here, that's who our enemy is. It's no longer race. It's no longer like certain subgroups. It is that intelligence community that I am putting my focus on.
Yeah. So on that note, again, you listen to all this and it sounds like we're down on America, but I'll quote Ash here and say, I absolutely love America. I love my country, but I have an abusive relationship with my government.
Yep.
And we're trying to fix it. We work our asses off here at Badlands to try and fix it and to try and open up people's minds to, well, not here at Badlands because this is my channel, but at Badlands, we try and open up people's minds to the ideas that we need to get back. We need to be regressive in a lot of ways in our country and, give back the sovereignty to the people and the ability for us to determine our own outcomes in where this country evolves to and where it goes to, and ensure that time capsule in 2276 gets opened. And it's opened by human beings, and it's not opened by robots that have taken over this country. And they go back and look, because they won't wait till 2276. They'll be like, I want to know what these motherfuckers were doing the whole time anyways.
Yep.
But the point is, this is a beautiful country. Go out and celebrate it today. Have some good times. And then guess what? On Monday, it's back to work.
Yes,
back to the
sir.
grind.
Yep.
Cam, any final thoughts?
Brian, thanks for having me, man. I never thought that I would be on July 4th, 2026, the 250th birthday of America. I never thought I'd be in a studio with a person like you and talking about it, talking about these topics, man. I was a conspiracy theorist as a kid. Like growing up, I knew JFK. I knew the magic bullet was bullshit. I knew the even the Jack Ruby thing they were talking about earlier. Like I knew he was a part of the intelligence community, and I never thought that I'd be able to actually get my voice out there. I thought I was just gonna be sitting in a basement complaining till I got old. But man, to be in the fight and know that we finally have a voice is thank you to President Trump, man. I think I wouldn't want anybody else steering the ship at this point in time, but to the American people, man, I've met so many of you that that gave me hope for the future, and not hopium, but true hope, because you guys actually fight. So everybody in the chat, anybody that's watching the show on replay, happy 250th, and here's to 250 more, man.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the outro song here. It might be. I'll get this set up. We'll play the Soft Disclosure outro song here.
Yes.
Where is it? Where is the whole song? Shit. Not there.
I don't know, but this should be on y'all's
this should definitely be on your playlist.
Yeah. I would say every every American holiday. Put that on your playlist.
You should wake up to this.
Yes.
It should be your whatchamacallit?
Alarm.
Yeah, there you go.
In college, I used to have one of those iHomes, and so you could have it to where your iPod, because I was in college when iPods were still a thing. So I literally had my iPod on, so when my alarm would go off for class, it would play whatever song I had set up.
Okay, there it is. I got it. So we will conclude on this note. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. And let's go ahead and play this as our outro. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
4th of July. Happy Independence Day.
Everybody come back with all your fingers and toes. Celebrate some America and get you some of that freedom. And also, softdisclosure.com, promo code 17.76. You can also use promo code CannCon. I do have a promo code there as well.
Do promo code CannCon for this one.
Yeah, do promo code CannCon. Softdisclosure.com, promo code CannCon. Here we go. Maybe.
Through the pines the drums were calling, echoes carried on the wind. We stepped into a moment where a nation would begin. Powder smoke and rising banners, voices ringing through the flame. We rode the currents of tomorrow, found the dawn of freedom's flame. Raise your eyes, the dawn is breaking. Raise your voice, the world is waking. Raise the flame of revolution, let the old world hear us roar. Freedom rides on every heartbeat, marching louder than before. From the Delaware to glory, soft disclosure fans the flame. For the hands that built this nation made no of generations lived inside the words they spoke. Hand to hand the fire was carried through the darkness evermore. A spark becomes a blazing beacon like the ones who came before. Raise your eyes, the dawn is breaking. Raise your voice, the world is waking. Raise the flame of revolution, let the old world hear us roar. Freedom rides on every heartbeat, marching louder than before. From the Delaware to glory, soft disclosure fans the flame. For the hands that built this nation made no cracked hand, yet remain. Across the years the story travels past the pages time is worn. Every age will hear the echoes of the day a dream was born. Though the road may twist before us, though the stars may lose their way, some fires burn beyond tomorrow, lighting every future day. Fans the flame. For the hands that built this nation made no cracked hand, yet remain. Made no cracked hand, yet remain.
you